gun screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shout and nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand. Buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth it's harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's up and happy Friday, folks? How we doing today? The weekend is almost here. I know you guys are excited. I know you're thinking and dreaming and like, why do I have to do this for a few more hours? It's almost Saturday. It's almost time to stretch my legs, maybe go out the family, but instead we're here. So I'm going to do my best to make the day, at least the next couple hours, fun for you guys, enjoyable, full of learning, full of hope, expectancy, and all kinds of good news. Welcome to American Fire. I'm Ace, and we are going to do it well today, the best of my ability. Lots to talk about as always, but Trump, man, you can see he's reshaping the world. So we are going to be covering the latest from China, Iran, all this worldwide craziness, beating back the city of London, restoring the American system while also growing and getting to a place where it'll be better than ever. We have the latest on Thomas Massie, including all the people freaking out that he's about to lose, and they are showing us their true colors as more and more liberals are coming out and endorsing him, including the New York Times. So going to have some fun with that one. And then, of course, some midterm momentum to speak of. There's good news coming out for Republicans daily. Well, also, Stark reminders of who we're up against and why we can't let them back in. Kamala Harris has been giving us some clues as to what they want to do next. So much going on today. Obviously, there'll be even a little bit more. But if you enjoyed, if you're ready, if you're excited, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're going to get into it in just a minute here. But first, I got to call out the peeps showing up on time. The one, what it do, my brother? Job for 9, what's up, man? You were almost first today. Vince Felice, not quite, man. Aiden Scotland, Frank Anastasio, Scott Volkovich, Z Groom, Saved by Grace, Nick Majors, Tammy Anderson, Teslin Joe, Kim Wiley, Toe Cramps in the house, Smokehouse, what's going on? Armand Oliphant, what's up, man? Rum Dog, Jen Maga. We have, let's see here, Christina, Dan the Man Green. How's it going, man? How you feeling these days? Ahana, Wago Waco, ACUSA, Ahana, Ralph Shoguns here, Nikki Freedom, Tammy Anderson, Henry Perez, Gemini Rising, Michael Boyle, K24U, glad you made it as well. Texas Outlook, and we have Lochtefeld, AZ Tropic holding it down on Rumble. Glad to have all you guys, and as people keep pouring in, I know I started a couple minutes early today. I was just so excited. I was so excited to speak to you guys. I was so excited to have a good time, to get to it. There's just so much fun stuff to talk about. I couldn't wait. I just couldn't wait. I couldn't control myself, which might be a bad sign. I don't know. Maybe I'm struggling with discipline. Although I did go to the gym this morning, so there is that. You're feeling bipolar. Thanks for asking. Well, you're welcome. All right. Listen, we're going to get right into it in a second, but actually I have something I want to do first. And first of all, I said something the other day that upset a few of my older viewers, and I am sorry for that. I was talking about news and how it's the older crowds, the boomers still keeping the news in business, and mostly watching the news. But what came across the wrong way was, I think the way I said it might have implied that it, like, older people are only watching the news, and it came across in the mainstream news, and it came across in a negative way. So I just want to say, listen, I'm old school. Okay. I'm like, I believe things in the more ancient view of things, even like you could say the more biblical way of things. And I believe the older crowd has more wisdom than all of us. And that's because of their experiences, because of what they've gone through. And so I just want to let you know, like, despite disagreements with certain things and generational differences, I respect my elders. Okay. I respect those older than me. I'm 42, and I have learned so much from people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s even. I mean, there's so much wisdom to be held there. So I want you guys to know I absolutely respect that. And I wanted to just make clear what I was talking about. So I pulled this together today just to give some clarity. So here's a little breakdown of what I was talking about. Okay, so in TV news, especially cable and mainstream news, these are the demographics, the median age of viewers. All right, and you can see it's all 50s as the median age. Median doesn't mean average, but it means based upon like who's skewing watching this. So younger people aren't watching it at all. They're getting all their news on phone and stuff now. But you can see older Americans. This is what I meant the other day. So and just to say, like, I'm not talking down on anybody. It's just you guys were raised in a different time, and TV was more of a thing. And so a lot of you, maybe if it's not you, a lot of your demo is still watching news on Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, and that's where they're getting the majority of their news because they're used to it. They grew up on Walter Cronkite and maybe Fox News in the 90s when it was at its peak in the early 2000s. Like that's just how it is, and that's what I was referring to. I didn't mean it as a slur or a knockdown. I just meant it as a point of fact. So, 75 to 87% of 65 plus still use their TV broadcast for news at least sometimes. And that's really what I was trying to get at. Okay. But as I put this together, I also saw a couple of interesting things real quick. I saw that college grads are most likely to watch CNN or even ABC, CBS, NBC over Fox News, which is interesting. If I was going to choose any of these, I'd still choose Fox, even though I have plenty of issues with Fox. And then the other crazy thing I saw was that women are much more likely to get their news from TV than men. You guys can make of that what you will. I just thought it was very interesting. That's all I discovered as I was doing my research on this. So, anyways, guys, I'm greatly sorry if I came across in a way that sounded impolite, or I greatly respect the generations ahead of me, and we need your wisdom. I never think that the younger generation is smarter or edgier, or I'm actually the opposite. I'm the old school type who thinks that, like, the older you are, you usually are going to be smarter, or at least have more common sense because of what you've experienced. In fact, we always talk about psyops here. I think one of the greatest psyops of all time is the idea that somehow, like, kids in their 20s and, like, should be leaders. I'm like, no. I get the energy they have, but even myself, who is pretty based, pretty common sense, even as a young man, I look back at my 25-year-old self. I'm like, I was an idiot, by comparison. I was just like, no, I wouldn't trust him to lead anything. I mean, I think you need to be at least, like, the founding fathers were very smart, right? They made president, you have to be a minimum of 35 years old. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. So, but again, sometimes trends are trends because of habit. Like my grandfather, who I love, he is one of the smartest, wisest men I've ever known. Just a great man. Taught me so much. He turns 95 this year, and he's in Texas. So I'm actually going to be going to Texas in July to visit him and celebrate his birthday. But 95 years old, and some of the stuff that he's got all this wisdom and stuff, but he's also got habits that just like trusting institutions that I just don't see how it's the same anymore. But so there's downsides to everything, but it doesn't mean I don't think he's smarter than me about life in general, or business, or all the things that, like, matter the most. I think, I would trust my grandpa opinion on a lot of that stuff over my own. But anyways, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. So I just wanted to clear that up, guys. I am sorry to my older audience. I noticed enough good people saying that they were, like, maybe, I don't know if hurt's the right word, but there was just some clarity needed, and I wanted to address that. So I hope that helps. Let me get into the chat for a minute here before we get to the news and just see what some of the people are responding. But Sherilyn Born Free says, every year gives you opportunity to develop character, though some chose the crusty old grumpy route. Well, that's true as well. That is absolutely true as well. Older doesn't automatically mean better, but just on a general scale, it can also, it can. So K2 says, as a Generation Jones with 40 years in tech, I bring real experience. There's also truth to the criticism about staying in the MSM bubble. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to get to, just that those staying with habits because you were raised, like, medicine's a really good one. Could you trust doctors more in, say, like the 60s and 70s and 80s? Yeah, you could. They were actually trying to get you well for the most part. Then things really shifted towards the late 90s into the 2000s. Big Pharma got bigger and bigger, and the doctors that kept coming out were more by this pharma-created system that just try to get you hooked on drugs all the time, which thanks to Anthony Fauci really started in the early 80s and exploded. And so it's just not the same anymore. And that's the kind of thing that like I've experienced. A lot of people who are older just still hold on to the original belief and stuff like that. And same with the news. Jen MAGA says, I'm always on my boomer dad because he honestly thought MSM had to tell the truth until I went through about 30 different headlines, all lies. Now he calls me gobsmacked. I mean, it's true. It's true. So some say like 65, haven't watched the news since the 90s. You know, a lot of people. And again, you know, when I say this, these ratings are all down on all these, okay? So the older generation is a massive, you know, the boomer generation is huge. Several tens of millions in our country, and the combined ratings of all this now is in like the maybe 10 to 20 million overall every night, somewhere in that range if you combined all of them every night. So it's not like, you know, anyways, I was just explaining myself, okay? So you know, just wanted everybody to know, and I wanted to set that record straight. So I hope that helped. All right. So everybody knows kind of where I'm at on that. And, you know, that should help. What was the glitch yesterday caused by? Good question. So yesterday on YouTube, if you were watching my live, you know, I got cut off. And it was right after oh man, what was I talking about? I was talking about aliens, and I can't remember something else in the area of that. But yeah, just all of a sudden my stream completely froze, and it still held up on Rumble and X. I can tell you guys this. In almost 3.5 years of streaming, I have been cut off by YouTube 3 or 4 times. A couple times, twice definitely, it was because I was running copyrighted material, and I ran it too long. And so they cut me off. So I don't fault them for that. Another time there was like a big glitch on YouTube where many people were experiencing stream issues. And then yesterday was another time. And Tim Pool got cut off last night as well. During his, it was last night or the night before, he got cut off while speaking about something. So the way I see it is either there was a flag on my channel by YouTube because of the content, or based on like what happened to Tim Pool, he was talking about something completely different when he got cut off, or YouTube's just having some issues. I don't know. YouTube isn't perfect. Obviously YouTube's censored, so there's always that concern about them. They definitely shadow banned my channel for years until Trump came back. So you never know why you get cut off. I never got a warning. If it was a copyright issue or anything, I would have gotten a warning. They didn't send that to me. They didn't ask me to cut anything out. It wasn't music, anything like that. So I don't know why I got cut off. That's what it ultimately comes down to. But I did. So it is what it is. I tried to finish up with a second half, and you know, that's how it goes sometimes. All right, you guys ready? Gonna get into it because there's a lot. There's a good question. I want to answer this first. Someone asked, does YouTube flag comments too? Yes. YouTube will automatically flag comments. So on my channel, you can choose your moderation level. That's AI automated. And you can also control like certain words and stuff. On my channel, I have the very most basic moderation set to flag basically curse words. I don't want people cussing it up a bunch in my comments. Like, cussing doesn't bother me, but I don't mind. I don't want to just load it up in my contents, because usually if somebody's like blowing it up with a bunch of curse words, it's because they're cursing at me, and I'm like, I don't need that on my channel. So I have the most basic moderation set for that. But even if I don't, YouTube has a basic moderation itself where it flags stuff that they determine is, they don't do the misinformation as much anymore, but they do the stuff they would consider highly sensitive, like racial slurs or, certain curse words. So yeah, YouTube does automatically do that. And then of course I moderate my own channel. So if I see nonsense, if I see people being absolute jerks, I'm just going to block them. And then they can still watch my show, but they can't comment. And I have no problem about that. No qualms. I'm just going to, I just don't want to deal with people who are completely disrespectful, and I don't want to deal with bots. So neither of those are worth it. Okay. So yes, the answer is on my channel, stuff does get cut off. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's YouTube automation. YouTube is a funny place. It's run by leftists, but it's also trying to make money. So they, and it's under a Trump administration now that is greatly watching all the social media channels for censorship. So they, I would say YouTube is pretty lenient now, pretty good overall, but you also never know and you're always on edge. So there's that. Okay. All right. Now people are sending super chats and stuff. So let me get to this. And then I got 3 big segments I want to go through tonight and a couple smaller ones. All right. Ministry of Wrong Things sent a $10 super chat and says, did I see the second Crowder versus Nick debate? I'm even seeing far-right guys suggest Crowder expose Nick. Ian Carroll hinted Nick was a false role model. Guess Crowder did a good job. First of all, Crowder is excellent at debating. I really appreciate Steven Crowder for what he does. I only have watched the first half hour. I've been meaning to watch the rest, but I've been busy. So I look forward to seeing it. I have seen, however, there is a major fight going on between the FAGA fake influencer America First crowd right now that's very anti-Nick Fuentes. It's interesting, and I hope they take him out. I do. I mean, we don't and listen, I'm not for censorship, okay? I don't believe in that. I think Nick should be able to have his show, say all of his stupid stuff all he wants. I'm not for censorship. What I am for is for people not succeeding if they're terrible at something. And like if Nick's all of a sudden losing a ton of viewers because he's being exposed, good. I'm all for that. I'm not, and that's not me actively trying to shut him down, anything like that, because I do believe in free speech, but I don't want to see him succeed. So, so you walk that line, but, that's absolutely what we want to see. I'd love for Nick to be pushed off into the ether, and he's always going to have his fans, his little troll army, but the smaller they get, the better for the world. So, I did see somebody send another gift. Thank you so much. YouTube is already, it was a laughing disco from Nikki Freedom. Thank you so much for the gift. I will tell you guys, when you send those gifts, I do see them pop up, but they disappear really quick. So I don't always get to fully acknowledge them. And I'm sorry for that. I don't know why YouTube times it out like that. It's weird, but Fuentes, I do believe Fuentes is a plant, likely a Fed. There's a lot of weird stuff about Nick Fuentes. And, Ian Carroll, all these guys are terrible. So why are they turning on Nick all of a sudden? I don't know. I don't know. It's very strange. Yes, Katie, I do have my moderators too, and you guys are wonderful. You guys do a great job moderating the channel and keeping stuff out. So, okay. I think we're ready. I think the crowd's ready. If you are going to be in the chat, please be respectful, even if you disagree. If you want to get my attention, tag me. I will do my best to find the tags. If you're directly trying to ask me a question or make a comment towards me, hit that tag. If I don't see the tag and you really want to get across, super chats are guaranteed to be read. Just telling you that. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, check out the membership in the description. Click that link and get a free month. And then after that, you can decide if you want to stay. Next week, classes are starting. And I'm going to announce on the members page what those classes are going to be soon as I figure that out. And members, keep your eyes open. I will be doing some sort of live with you guys soon. And then I also have some exciting to announce, and that is that I got approached by Rich Does Politics, and he is going to be interviewing me this Saturday. So I don't know when that will be posted, but I will be on the Rich Does Politics show this week at some point, but I'll be recording it on Saturday. So, and that's really exciting for me because Rich has the Promethean Action ladies on all the time, Ian Burlingame, Tom Luongo, so many great people. It's one of the best channels online, and so I'm really excited to be able to do that. He reached out to me on X, and so we're gonna knock that out, and I'm just stoked about it. Okay, let me tell my son to get my dog put away so she stops barking. And then we are going to get going. All right. So, yeah, thank you guys. I'm very excited to be on with him. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get into this. You guys ready? So, Hannity traveled with Trump to China. And was able to have an interview with Trump right after the meetings. And we're going to go through some of these clips because Trump says several things that I think are fascinating. And then we're going to talk about what this means looking forward for in regards to the world politic. But I'll tell you this, this China thing, I think the longer it goes, the more we see. I think it's going to become more and more clear that this China trip is a major inflection point. It's part of the global shift that Trump is accomplishing right now. And if you've been paying attention, you've noticed that ever since 2006 started, or 2026 started, it's been hardcore foreign policy. Starting with Venezuela, which was like January 3rd or January 6th, obviously going to Iran, and now this trip to China, talks with Putin, so on and so forth. It's just everything is ramping up to create a literal new world order. And I don't say that in like the scary one world government type way. I just literally mean Trump is reshaping the economic world order, the geopolitical world order, and it's actually in a way that's heading more towards sovereignty, and which is ultimately going to be very good for the entire world, but especially good for the United States. So here's Trump breaking down his initial thoughts on the meeting with Xi.
In your own words, how did this meeting go? Because you were there a long time.
It was a long meeting. It started off interestingly because they're very organized people. And as you know, we have about 30 of the biggest business leaders in the world, biggest everything, I mean, you name it, from chips to planes to everything. And they're all here. I didn't invite them. They all wanted to come. And they're all here. And I suggested that before we start the meeting, I'd like to introduce them to you. And they were surprised because it wasn't scheduled. And they looked around, they said, well, and then, we had everybody. I don't want to go into names because I'll leave some out. But there were a lot of guys.
Tim Cook, Elon,
a lot of people.
Musk.
Yeah, we had everybody.
The head of NVIDIA was
Jensen.
here.
We had just everybody. And men and women, all great business, the best. And they said, okay. And they each spoke a little bit and introduced themselves. And it's interesting because they do business in China. Most of them do business here, but probably like to do more. And I'd like to see them do more. That would be good for trade and trade balance. And they were fantastic. I'll tell you, they really had a good time. Once the Chinese leadership, because it was President Xi and many other leaders, once they got used to the fact that we're a little off schedule here and we're talking about a subject that wasn't even thought about, but they were outside. I said, I think we can get them in 5 minutes because they were literally, a few minutes away from the room where we were in the Great Hall. We were in the Great Hall. And they came in and they did fantastically well. It was really good. I think he actually said, that was very good. That was a good idea. But it was very different from what the schedule had. And then we went on and we talked about a lot of different subjects, and I think it was all good.
Did you guys hear what he said there? That
In
I
your
think
own
it's interesting.
words,
not everybody will pick up on this. It's that Trump said how on time they were with everything, the scheduling, but Trump disrupted it. I don't know how many people would pick up on that, but Trump making a big deal out of disrupting their timeline, that's a flex by Trump because the Chinese are very structured in everything. And so for him to throw them off, and he even said how surprised they were when he brought stuff up, that's to catch them off guard and to get some real answers out of them and maybe catch them in a little bit of a vulnerable moment. And he changed the subjects on them and all that. So just say like, this is how Trump does things. Okay. And again, I understand, okay, as I'm talking about all this stuff regarding China, I understand the issues with China. I understand that we can't fully trust them. I understand all of that. I'm not, even though I believe it's better that we create some kind of economic partnership with them that's not one way where they're always just robbing us. I still understand that they're communists and they're bad and all that. So as I say this, Trump understands it too. So with all the love he's showering on Xi right now and China, the real thing is this is a power struggle. This is Trump, art of the deal. The thing is, Trump's acting much different towards China than all of these other people, all of these other countries, because all of the other countries are like little children to us. They have no leverage. We talk about how he has more leverage. Like yesterday, I talked about how China, we have more leverage over China than we've had before. Well, these other countries have zero leverage. So Trump treats Xi differently than he treats, Keir Starmer or the prime minister, or Modi or the prime minister of Ireland. He treats them differently. And with Xi, he's like, this guy, he's not quite the level of us, but he's the closest we're going to find. And so he treats China much differently. And this is all just Trump, the art of the deal, Trump respects Xi, whether he likes him or not. And that's what he's communicating. It's strength versus strength. And the little things are how you do it in this one. He's not going to tell Xi to his face, you don't have the cards, like he said to Zelensky. That's just never going to happen. But what he'll do is little things. Say, I see how you scheduled everything. That's great. Hey, let's talk about this right now. And Xi's just like, okay, those are little power strokes. It's a little bit of saying like, I'm the man here. Okay. Like, I respect you. I see what you guys are doing, but I'm the actual guy here. And so Trump, one of the big things that's coming out of this is them buying oil from us, which we're going to talk in a little bit about why could be such a big deal. But listen to this.
So I told him I'd love to see you buy oil from Texas and Louisiana, from the United States, Alaska. We've got so much of it. And he said he likes the idea. He'd like to talk about that. I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't know.
I think that would be a huge announcement.
Look, they're doing it right now. They're sending Chinese ships up to buy oil.
They do.
So we're doing, and I don't like talking about it because then the fake news media says, Trump doesn't talk about the fact that somebody's paying $2.50 from, I had it down to $1.85 in Iowa a gallon. So now it's $4 and it's going to not be long. And as soon as the war ends, it's going to go down to lower than it was before. It's going to be very quick.
You realize, so Iran, which, we've talked about this many times, but it's just so important to keep reiterating. We keep hearing from the mainstream media, from the Podcast-to-Stand group, that we're losing the war in Iran, that it's been horribly strategic. And even if we've won militarily, we're losing strategically. We keep hearing this. And you know what none of these people ever talk about? They never talk about the fact that Iran has positioned us as the sole global leader in oil exports. It's completely refamed. We're producing. We already had the capabilities, but because the Strait of Hormuz got closed, it forced the rest of the world to turn to us. That right there, guys, Oil right now is more precious than gold. It is the number one most important resource in the world for energy. And that's not going to change anytime soon. I don't care what Al Gore says. It's not happening. Oil is the modern gold. And Trump understands this better than any other leader, at least in America. He understands it the most. And what the Iran strikes did and the closing of Hormuz did, it woke up the rest of the world to, oh my God, the U.S. now has more leverage over all of us. We all have to come in and bow before the U.S. because even if they have oil, most of them, especially in the first world countries, especially in like Europe, they haven't been drilling because they have bowed down to the climate gods and they've decided that's what they're going to do. Well, Trump, since China doesn't have that much oil, Trump has just completely reframed the leverage for everywhere. And now he's gone to China and he's like, you guys got your cheap oil from Venezuela, Iran. Now you're going to get it from us. And this is one of the other things, along with the manufacturing coming back here, Trump's just basically slapping it down on the table, man, flopping the nuts and saying, guys, what are you going to do without us? How are you going to fight against us? And China can put up a fight, but are they going to even want to? They're experiencing a downgrade in their economy. They're going into massive recession, maybe even depression. The real estate is destroyed, and now we're the energy because of Iran and Venezuela gone. So Trump's reshaping the entire world, and this alone makes Iran worth it. This one thing alone, like even the nuclear stuff, like we got to get that. That's a big part of it, and that's not done yet. And we're going to get to where we're building up to that in a minute here. But the strategic aspect of us, the world becoming reliant on the U.S. for oil now is the most important thing, and most like it made it all worth it. So because now we have way more leverage, not only over UK and City of London, but also China in a major way. Now, this is interesting. I showed you guys yesterday the difference in reception for Obama versus Trump, how China treated him. Well, now we are getting Trump talking about a lot of this stuff as well. Some of this came out of Xi's own mouth, but because Xi speaks Chinese and I don't want to go through the translation, I'm going to let Trump explain it to you. But listen to what he has to say about how President Xi and the Chinese talked about Obama and Biden.
Out of this summit. America, I'm sure, watched the reception, and I'll do a side-by-side of the reception of then President Obama.
He doesn't respect Obama. Nobody does. Highly overrated, and he's a divider. Biden will go down as the worst president in history because I think what he did on the border. And
how do you explain your relationship with President Xi? Because it seems as cordial as it can be. He doesn't seem like the warmest guy in the world on the outside.
He is. He's warm. I mean, look, he's smart. He's a very smart person. But we have a good relationship. No, he has to respect somebody. He's no games. He's not like, let's talk about how did the Yankees do last night? Okay, who cares? They don't care. He's all about China. It's,
but their
it's a consummate thing.
So the continued exposure of Obama is really ramping up right now, just as we covered earlier in the week with Trump's True Social storm. Here is more Trump on Obama as he was boarding Air Force One.
I terminated that deal. And if I didn't terminate Barack Hussein Obama, if I didn't terminate that deal, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon 2 years ago. As you know, that deal long expired.
It was taking the most years doing it, and after your bombing, then
you know what? I'll tell you what. I know you backed Obama, which shows what a fraud you are, because that was the worst deal. They would have had a nuclear weapon within a period of a year and a half after I terminated it. If I didn't terminate that, and if I didn't send the B-2 bombers in 9 months ago to obliterate, one thing that did happen, which was very nice, the top person in Iran representing them was the top person. He said, I'm the only one, meaning the United States is the only one, along with possibly China, that would be able to get the nuclear dust out of that disaster that we created with the B-2 bomb.
Are you willing to do that? And why do you call
Yeah,
it
no,
dust?
at the right time, we'll either go in or we'll get it. I think we'll probably get it. But if we don't get it, we'll go in.
But you're willing to mount the operation to
Well,
take
no,
it
I think they'll be totally defeated, and we won't have any risk. Yeah.
Then he had this to say about what China had to say about Xi and Obama again. So just more on this, and then we'll stop.
For social, you said that President Xi had made a reference to the decline of the U.S. We didn't hear him say that. Maybe it was something he said in private to you. So what was it, first of all, that he said that prompted you to do this?
He made a statement. It might not have been from him. It was somebody, but they talked about the decline. But he said today, and he said it very publicly, he said the U.S. was declining for the last 4 years. And he said what President Trump has done in the last 15, 16 months has been virtually a miracle. He said we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. But he said that it was a declining country. Under Joe Biden, he said we had a seriously declining country, which we did, with people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons and everything else. He said what President Trump has done has been a virtual miracle. It's the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it is, yeah.
Okay, so regardless of whether Xi said it in those exact terms or not, okay, this is what matters. What matters is the spectacle of all this, okay? The getting it out in front of everybody. Everybody's watching Trump right now to hear what people are saying about China. And as Trump's building this bridge, as he's utilizing leverage over China, and I do believe we're going to see deals come out of this because China just doesn't have a choice, if nothing else, not because we can trust them, anything like that, but because of all the leverage Trump now has over them. But using all this as a contrast of the Obama-Biden years, and it's interesting he keeps going back to Obama. Think about this. Obama hasn't been president for 10 years. We had Biden in between. And Trump keeps going back to Obama. So this is all part of that exposure tour. Obama went to see Carney today, or not today, but this week. Remember, they were having a secret liberal strategy session, with Mark Carney, City of London, the globalists, all freaking out. Well, they're definitely freaking out that Trump just went to China as well. And the reason Trump keeps putting Obama on blast is because he knows they're still working to try to get this done, to try to take things back and get it back to where it was. And so he's reminding the people how bad it was, but he's also telling all of us that Obama's really been the one in charge this whole time in America of the Democrats and of our decline. And he's using China to do this. And whether Xi said this or not, you don't hear Xi coming out and defending it. President Xi hates Obama. China hates Obama. They hate the City of London system out of the UK EU. This is one of the reasons Trump gets along so well with China. Why they're bringing him in was, and that's not again. Please understand. I'm not saying China's a great place. I'm not condoning them, but we can't go in and take them over and finish all this. Okay, so we can't make them not communist. But what we can do is hopefully provide a better environment where over time the people forced to change grow out of it. So, but if we're tough on them here, where we're weeding out all the ways they've tried to steal from us, all the ways they've tried to infiltrate our government and buy our land, we're tough on them here. We have a good relationship as long as they mind their own business. That is significantly hurting the EU system, the City of London system. And it's pretty clear that Xi, Chinese government, they hated that too. And this is bringing us all together. And we're going to see another major sign of this here in a minute. But all of this is strategic. That's the main point in all this. And it's a reminder, like Trump he's also signaling to Obama, like your time's done. Your era's done. You failed. You absolutely failed. And it's a good reminder. It's a good reminder. And Obama's just getting more and more frantic. I mean, think about this. When he took Slotkin Buttigieg and himself and all these others up to Canada to speak with Mark Carney and all these other like world leaders and stuff to reconnect with their handlers, the deep state, the true City of London system that's been stealing from us for so long. When Obama just did that, that's panic. Okay. The midterm momentum is changing. Trump's going to China. Iran is the chokehold on Iran is hurting EU more than anybody else. And all their subordinates, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, Canada, India, this is who it's all hurting the most. Trump's not going to any of those places trying to figure this out. He went to China. Because if Russia, China, and America are getting along, they don't even have to be friends. But if we're getting along in a geopolitical sense, if we're getting along in a trade economic sense, that is absolutely crushing to any other system trying to rise up. Because we're talking about the three most powerful nations in the world finally getting along, finally getting interconnected in a way where there's going to be no incentive to go to war with each other, to mess with each other too much. That's crushing to them, absolutely crushing. And Obama knows it. Now, today we got this manufacturing numbers in. And look at this, what's happening. Okay, so this is part of the momentum Trump has over China, but it's also a signal that we are getting more sovereign and free again. Empire manufacturing came in at 19.6. The expectations were 7.2. That's almost triple expectations. So when people say manufacturing can't come back here, industry can't come back here, Trump is proving them all wrong. All these policies are working, which is just strengthening us on the world stage. So Trump then went on to talk about Taiwan, but Iran is what matters most for this second right here. Okay. And let's get into where we're at with Iran and what's going on between Iran and China. Here's Jesse Waters giving us a little update.
Fox News alert. We have all China's friends in a headlock. Their favorite gas stations, Iran and Venezuela, are offline. Now Xi's sitting down with Trump, and he says he wants to fill up the tank.
China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened.
China wants oil, chips, and lower tariffs. So we have a lot of leverage. And Xi said, well, how can I help?
President Xi would like to see a deal made. He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help. Because,
he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that. And look, anybody that buys that much oil has obviously got some kind of a relationship with him. But he said, I would love to be of help. If I could be of any help whatsoever, he'd like to see the Hormuz Strait open. He said, if I could be of any help whatsoever, I would like to help.
We're watching a diplomatic dance. Neither guy can look needy.
He didn't ask him for anything. I mean, we're not asking for China's help. We don't need their help. Our position is very clear. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Back at home, the media still thinks the gay Ayatollah is winning. The New York Times, Washington Post say Iran still has most of its missiles. Now, these could be deep state leaks, worst case scenario, trying to get Trump.
You see right here, U.S. intelligence from the New York Times shows Iran retains substantial missile capabilities. Iran retains about 75%. That's definitely not what our CENTCOM is saying, but let's see if Jesse's gets there.
Back in the war for money and regime change. But our military's top brass said today it's not accurate. We destroyed Iran in record time.
The numbers that I've seen in open source are not accurate. I think what also is not taken into consideration, it's more than just the numbers. It's the command and control that's been shattered. In less than 40 days, CENTCOM forces achieved our military objectives. Most notably, we degraded Iran's ability to project power outside its borders and threaten the region and threaten our interests.
They mostly have drones left, and we figured out how to shoot them down for cheap.
So those days of using high-value defenses to shoot down cheap targets are behind us. Quite the contrary, what we have been doing lately is using our own low-cost one-way attack drones, attacking Iran, making them use higher and more expensive weapons.
The regime's getting desperate. Kuwait says they arrested 4 guard guys who tried to sneak into their country. And they're still causing trouble in the Strait. The Brits said one of their ships was seized. And an Indian vessel carrying goats reportedly sank after getting hit with a drone.
What are the odds that the one ship they seized was British? What do you guys put the odds at that? Who gains the most, or who loses the most from Iran going out, other than Iran itself? UK, all right. Lloyd's of London with the direct ties there. The direct ties to Khomeinis. Who loses the most, as we've talked about many times on my show. And so all of a sudden, when Iran needs to make a statement that we're actually powerful, what are the odds that the one ship they overtake is a UK ship? Isn't that interesting? I don't know, guys. What do you think?
But traffic's actually up. Cargo ships are turning off their radar to sail through dark. At least 18 ships made it out this week, some from Japan.
Now it's at 30. So traffic is picking up. Iran needs to make a statement, and they somehow caught a British vessel. Funny.
And some from India. And our wall of steel's holding strong. 70 cargo ships were turned around. 90% of Iran's sea mines destroyed. And their mosquitoes, they're getting swatted.
Capability have been significantly degraded. If I just use my own professional experience, in 100 transits through the Strait of Hormuz, you would typically see 20 to 40 fast boats, and lately we've seen 2 or 3.
They went from swarming the strait to hiding in the shadows. Now the Iranians are choking on their own oil.
Karg Island. We've seen that there have been no loadings in the past 3 days. We believe their storage is full. None of the ships are getting out. None are coming in, so they're not able to store oil on the water. So they're going to start shutting down their production. I think that they are on their last legs, and the blockade, President Trump's blockade, has been a resounding success.
So we were just told in the media recently that Iran might actually have months until they're backed up. Originally, it was 12 to 14 days, and now we're hearing months and months and months. Well, the ceasefire has been almost a month. They did start burning off oil. They started dumping some into the Gulf. That showed to me that they were getting close. And then we're starting to hear from Bassett and others that they're almost at the cap, especially on Karg Island. And this is one of those moments where you got to decide, who do I trust? The media, who has lied to me for 50, 60 years, maybe longer, or the administration who's actually getting stuff done. It's one of those he said, she said things, but I believe what we're starting to see is the pressure's actually mounting up on Iran. And listen to this last part.
Cuba could be next. They just said they ran out of oil. The country's experiencing blackouts. And today, our CIA director's in Havana holding a secret meeting. He told them we're going to be open to working together, but they need to change. If Venezuela can get it together, so can Cuba. Just remember, Havana's just a short flight from Palm Beach.
So Cuba's ramping up. And Iran in there mentioned that they are getting nervous as well because China was their number one funder. And what they just saw is that Trump went over to China, and China did make a public statement that they're ready for the Strait of Hormuz to be open. So right here, it's reported Xi Trump summit's making IRGC nervous. Xi saying Strait of Hormuz should be open is being read in Tehran as great betrayal. And there's an Iranian spokesperson. He who betrays in secret shall be exposed in public. So they always got to do their puff up peacock chest. But direct from China just an hour and a half ago, Strait of Hormuz should be reopened as soon as possible. So Trump has gotten the Chinese to agree to putting some kind of pressure on this. And here's the deal. Even if the Chinese do nothing, as long as they're not bringing them weapons, and as long as they're publicly making the stance that we want this Iran thing over, That's enough for us to have an excuse to finish this without China getting involved. Nobody can use China as an excuse anymore or look to China for help anymore. That public statement is enough. But other things are starting to, Trump said it this morning, we don't need the Strait of Hormuz open, and here's one of the reasons why. UAE is building a second pipeline to bypass it. This new pipeline will be finished next year and will double the country's export capacity in Fujairah. Current pipeline has a capacity of 1.5 to 1.8 million barrels per day. They're going to double their production without the strait. Saudi Arabia is already starting to go around the strait. All these countries are realizing that the Strait of Hormuz, as long as Iran's there and a problem, we're just going to go around them. So even if we never open up the Strait of Hormuz again, which that's going to happen, but let's just play a theoretical here, on a hypothetical, I should say. The other countries are already building around it so that we don't get holed up again. Iran, City of London, through Iran, the shipping insurance company, they're never going to have this leverage again. This is it. This is the end. And none of this happens if Trump doesn't go after Iran, which this is incredible stuff, because this is going to create a free flow of oil, which is going to also the breaking up of OPEC, which we haven't mentioned in a few days, but UAE getting out of OPEC, Venezuela about to get out of OPEC, them all getting out of OPEC as well is going to kill that oil cartel. All these countries are going to just freely produce at their own desires. All that oil hitting the market now without ever being bulked up at the Strait of Hormuz again, that's just going to create a free flow that's going to create massive energy abundance that's going to lower prices like crazy and refuel the economy, world economy. So here's Trump talking about Iran, what could be coming soon.
We've wiped out their armed forces, essentially. We may have to do a little cleanup work because we had a little month-long ceasefire, I guess you'd call it, but we have a blockade that's so effective. That's why we did the ceasefire. We really did the ceasefire at the request of other nations. I wouldn't have really been in favor of it, but we did it as a favor to Pakistan with terrific people, the field marshal and the prime minister.
So here's Trump starting to back out of the ceasefire language that. And this is just the setup, because, don't be surprised if we're bombing Iran this weekend. I'll say it again. We might completely finish it this weekend. And this whole Chinese thing just set us up for it. I mean, Trump's language that he just used, like there, we had a ceasefire. I didn't really want it. I did it for other countries. This is him setting it up so that he can go in and finish the job. Now, with all this going on, now Putin is getting ready to visit next week. Isn't that interesting? The whole ARC relationship, America, Russia, China. Well, we just set things up with China, and now Russia's going there. It's fascinating stuff. Now, I know China hasn't had the same... What's the word I'm looking for? Like same antagonism towards Russia that we've had. They've never employed that. They've had open relationship, trading, oil, all that, much more so than we have. But the fact that he's going there to visit after this, is it possible that Putin's going to go talk to Xi behind the scenes? What'd you guys really talk about? What's going on? What are we doing? I don't know, but it's really interesting timing, and especially if we start finishing the job in Iran. I'm telling you guys, there's a whole new world coming the next few months, and definitely the next few years. Everything's going to look different. We're exposing the world order for what it actually was, not what we were told. We're exposing it where Trump is revealing how things really are. We were lied to. We were all educated wrong. Like we were given half-truths, used to psyop us, used to put us into fear, used to get the American people in a place where they just wouldn't support certain actions. but it's all falling apart really quickly. We're going to find out very soon that Putin, we're going to create a relationship with Putin that's going to be like, maybe this guy wasn't as bad as we thought. And a lot of Americans are going to wake up once that happens. And once things get better here, once the Iran war is over, or Iran operation, I should say more accurately, once that's over, oil prices are going down, way down. And I think we're going to see $50, $40 a barrel by the end of the year. That gets oil back down to $2 a gallon. Gas prices. So then the economy can just go nuts. And then Cuba. Well, here's not DNI. This is CIA Director Ratcliffe in Cuba. Our actual director of the CIA is in Cuba. Interesting timing, right? Again, with Tulsi Gabbard, what happened the other night with her, this incorrect story that was trending everywhere, how the CIA raided Gabbard's office, and turned out it wasn't true, but even Rep. Luna bid it. And I said it might be a white hat psyop to get our attention there. Luongo has another take. He says, now you know why someone floated the fake news about the CIA raiding our office the other day. The CIA director is out of the country negotiating with Cuba while Trump and company are in China negotiating. World is healing quick, folks. So yeah, they did. They pulled all that off while he's gone. That is. I mean, you can't ignore the timing here. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So with all that said, here's what we're looking at. I just ran a little run through with Grok about what things could actually look like if Trump pulls all this off. And it's pretty fascinating. So according to Grok, if we get relations with China and Russia, like new geopolitical economic relations with them that are stronger, while also, say, pulling out of NATO and getting the world's oil flowing, this is what we could be looking at. So Grok wrote, combination delivers multiple reinforcing tailwinds, positioning U.S. as a clear winner in a transactional multipolar trade system. Energy prices will fall sharply and sustainably. Unrestricted State of Hormuz, a broken OPEC unlocked full production from Gulf producers, adding millions of barrels per day to global supply. It says oil prices settle into a lower range, potentially 60 to 70 per barrel or below. I'll tell you right now, way below, because we were at 60 before this even started. So Grok is definitely not being aggressive enough. But American households will get immediate relief at the pump, utility bills, while energy-intensive industries, manufacturing, trucking, ag, aviation, chemicals see major reduction in operating expenses. This is like a broad-based tax cut boosting consumer spending, corporate profits, and hiring. Shipping and logistics costs drop across the board. Every major choke point free of geopolitical friction. Insurance premiums, rerouting delays, freight rates decline significantly. Our exports become more competitive. Imports from all partners arrive cheaper. Deeper partnerships with Russia and China amplify these gains. Sanctions relief, joint projects with Russia open access to abundant energy, minerals, Arctic resources at favorable terms. Trade with China stabilizes, expands predictably, providing reliable markets for our goods while reducing our export controls and supply chain risks. NATO withdrawal directly impacts fiscal savings. We have U.S. no longer shoulders disproportionate burden of alliance spending, freeing tens of billions annually for domestic priorities or debt reduction. Europe assumes its own higher defense costs. Continued tariff-based trade with U.S. ensures transatlantic economic link remains intact without previous imbalances. Net result, stronger U.S. growth, lower energy and logistics costs combined with expanded export markets, reduced overseas commitments, support higher GDP expansion, lower inflation, broader industrial resurgence. We're already a net exporter with robust domestic production. Geopolitically, world moves towards clearer spheres of influence and bilateral deal-making. A neutered Iran removes a persistent threat in the Middle East. Russia and China gain economic breathing room. Europe adapts to greater self-reliance, benefits from cheaper energy and open sea lanes. In this projection, U.S. economy emerges significantly stronger. Abundant, cheap energy, frictionless shipping, new high-value partnerships, lower overseas burdens create a virtuous cycle. Cost savings, export growth, and domestic prosperity. That's what Trump's doing, friends. It's incredible to see. And just one of the reasons I am extremely, extremely bullish on the next few years, as I do see this all being part of leading to the golden age Trump is talking about. If you were going to create a golden age for the United States, you would do exactly what Trump's doing right now. And that's something to be excited about and optimistic about. All right. Please, if you have a second, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Support the channel in the free way, and if you want to support the channel in a way that also financially supports the channel, you can join the membership. You'll get access to Discord and access to all members only content. You can get in there right now for free by clicking in the link in the description, get a free month, and check it out. And you can decide if you want to stay after a month. So that's my gift to you as a free month. All right, let me get into the chat here, and we'll see where we're at. So, I did see a couple super chats, so let me go to those first. All right, we had Tricky Vicky says, never miss Rich Does Politics. Thank you for that, Vicky. And you never miss American Fire Promethean Action. Love it. Thank you so much for the $4 donations. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate you. Excuse me. Ministry of Wrongthink for a $5 donation says, are you aware George Farmer's father is Baron Farmer, who sits on UK House of Lords? This explains everything. Yes, Ministry of Wrongthink. I am aware of that. In fact, I was one of the first to report it months ago on this show, back before my show had really grown. I was regularly reporting on that stuff. So yes, she is directly tied to the UK House of Lords and MI6 through her father-in-law and her husband, which, kind of tells you all you need to know. Excuse me. Alrighty, let me see here. Any tags? Anybody trying to directly get to me? It doesn't look like it. Excuse me. I'm a little gunky. Okay, we have a lot of conversation going on. Good for you guys. Everybody kind of doing their own thing. That's fine. Left coast is still burdened by net zero climate change BS and the high state gas taxes. Yes, that's going to take a while because of our states' rights, our federalism. But eventually, I think this is, economics, basic economics. If the federal government stops bailing out blue states, so as long as Trump, Vance, Rubio are in office, or whoever else is, a MAGA type leader, as long as that's in place, we don't have to worry about the blue states getting worse. Well, I mean, they can get worse in some ways, but overall, and anything that regards economics, because they are going to be forced to reform. They're all facing, especially the big ones, California, Illinois, New York. They're all facing bankruptcy here in the next 2 to 5 years based on their budgets, which means without a bailout, pension system will crash in these blue states, and they're going to have to make major reforms, which will be good for all the people in the blue states. So that's what we're looking at. Most of the blue states almost went bankrupt because of COVID. And in Biden's, when we all got $1,400 checks from Biden in his stimulus that March, the thing that finally pushed inflation over the edge, all the blue states got bailed out to hundreds of billions of dollars, and that's what's allowed them to even continue going this far. But that will not happen again. Texas Outlook says at less than $70 per barrel of oil, the oil companies won't make money. I've heard that, but I don't think it's true. None of them were complaining this recently when the oil price was around $63. They will figure it out, and we will make, because Trump is reducing regulations, he's making it easier for them to drill. They'll figure it out. They made money back when it was 40 in his first term. So I just disagree with that statement. I know that there are like legitimate reasons to make that claim. So I'm not saying that's a troll comment or anything, but that has been what we've been told. However, we've been proven time and time again that it gets under there and they're fine. So we'll see, but I think they'll figure it out. Jen MAGA says, I've always wondered why our U.S. government always hated Russia. Well, it started with Soviet Union. And because, if you go back before 1917, which was the Russian Revolution, when the Bolsheviks took over, if you go back before that, Russia was one of our strongest allies for the first 125 years of our nation. Russia had the back of the Union during the Civil War, whereas UK and France had the back of the Confederates. And if you go back to the Revolutionary War, Russia was an ally of ours, 1812. So Russia has always been closer to the U.S. than the U.K. until the Soviet Union after 1945. After we partnered with Stalin against the Nazis, then we went directly into the Cold War. And other than that, though, Russia has been an ally to us. So Putin runs Russia much more like the Tsars did than the Soviets did. And there's no reason we shouldn't be close to Russia anymore. Zero. But the UK has always been at odds with Russia. UK hates Russia. They've, at least those in power, the British Empire, going way back hundreds and hundreds of years, Russia's always been a rival to the UK. And so when did we why did we keep hating Russia afterwards? Well, because we were in NATO and we were influenced by UK, MI6, City of London system. And that explains why we've continued to talk about Russia as if it was no different than the Soviet Union and held them at arm's length the same way. Wonder if they'll feature Iran conflict in Landman season 3. That would be hilarious. I believe we'll get at least one Billy Bob rant about it at some point. Senate Banking Committee advanced the Clarity Act. I did see that. Thank you for one of the many for the $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Yes, they did. And they're revamping the banking system through all these acts, Genius Act, Clarity Act, and it's going to be good. I mean, it creates more opportunity for the American people through stable coins, and eventually we'll get the I don't know all the issues of the Stability Act. I don't know all the details, but I do know that all the right people are behind it. And so I trust it because of that. Thank you, Celeste. I appreciate that. Let's see what else before we go on. The next segment, guys, we're going to be talking about midterms, where we're at, and what the Democrats are planning. Also future casting a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a second. But Marilyn says, I'll hype the channel myself until YouTube does. Well, thank you for that. Texas Outlook, I did not think it was. So thank you for clarifying. Doc No with the $5 super chat says, negativity is intellectual junk food. Feels good going down. Long term will rot your soul. May the glass always be half full. Amen. And it also is the whole people who, I'm just being realistic. My entire life, I've never heard the term realistic meant for somebody being positive. It's always an excuse for them to be negative. And I just have always hated that. I shared a story a few weeks ago that recently came out, a scientific peer-reviewed study that said being overly optimistic is actually very good for your soul. Well, it did say soul. It said for your brain. It said the most mentally healthy people are overly optimistic. And I just want to exemplify that at every opportunity. Being negative is never helpful for anybody. Not at all. Let's see here. One of the many says, I believe the big hang-up for banks is everyday people would make more money on yields, so they wouldn't use the banking system as much. 100%. They are not happy. but they're going to have to deal with it because the era of the banks running our country, running the system, because it is bankers who, well, it's not all, but it's mostly bankers who have created and run the City of London system. Okay. They're all in banking because that financial system that runs through there, that the globalists, Davos, World Economic Forum have become subjective of, and the political arm of is, they just use it to rob from us. They like destabilization. They like wars. They like anything that feeds money to them. And that's one thing we've been attached to for a long time, that Trump is slowly breaking us away from. Dyfun says British Empire invaded 171 countries in total, 90% of the entire planet, created Israel and the USA. People think Israel is the top of the food chain. Anybody who thinks Israel's at the top of the food chain is insane. We've talked about that many times on my show. You honestly can't be a critical thinker who understands history and politics and actually think Israel's behind it all. The Israel is control. Anybody who actually believes that, it's like you've just told me your IQ in regards to politics is like sub 50. You can't actually think Israel's behind everything and have a high IQ when it comes to politics. It's just impossible. There's just no way that this little country that's less than 80 years old, that is the size of like New Jersey or smaller than New Jersey, could actually be in control of everything. It's absolutely retarded. Anybody who's pushing that, whether it's Nick Fuentes or Dave Smith, they are either they're actually retarded, or they are doing it on purpose to sell a psyop to people who just don't know how to think for themselves or do research. So it's that simple. Thoughts on Warsh? I think Warsh is going to be amazing. I think Warsh is going to be the beginning of the end of the Fed. He's going to reform it. So whether or not they can actually get rid of the Fed, because that's going to take Senate Act, is going to be very difficult, at least for the next few years until we get more MAGA in the Senate. But he's going to reform it so much it'll significantly change the dynamic of the Fed and make it less powerful. So Warsh is going to be great. He's going to be great. Ian Carroll is one of the biggest frauds. He is a moron. He doesn't have an original thought in his head. Everything he says, he's stolen from somebody else. He came out of nowhere. He has no social media presence from before the last few years. He just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's on Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson. He just spews repetition from other people. He doesn't have any of his own work. He's one of the biggest frauds out there. He absolutely is. Don't get me started on the Israel stuff. I've covered it so many times, but there's just no way. There's just no way. And so it tells you your it tells you your political IQ. So that's a gimme. I'll tell you, I've said this before, I'll say it again. There are several ways to automatically tell if somebody's either a grifter, or a shill, a fraud, or just stupid, okay, in the media sphere. One of them is the whole Israel thing. There are legitimate criticisms of Israel, but once they get into the Israel controls everything sphere, they're retarded. If they're black pillars, blackpilling is 90% of the time just promoted by grifters because they want to discourage you. The other 10% are people who have lost the plot and they're unable to see clearly anymore. They've bought the nonsense, and so they're not worth listening to either. Anyways, anybody who's blackpilling, cut them off immediately. It's just not something worth. You can listen to people who are critical, but people who are critical in a healthy way have solutions. So people who have solutions aren't blackpilling. So if they're blackpilling, which means hopeless, and they're just feeding like Whitney Webb, perfect example. She puts out a lot of good information, and in there she mixes a bunch of nonsense that's just trust me, bro, connections, bro, crap. And then she never has a solution for anything except for like impossible solutions. But she's always blackpilling everything. No matter who gets in power, they're technocrats. Every single one of them. J.D. Vance is controlled by Peter Thiel. He's a monster. How, Whitney, tell us how you know this. Well, he worked for him. Okay, but lots of people worked for Peter Thiel. Well, Peter Thiel donated to his campaign. Well, Peter Thiel is also the first one to promote President Trump out of the tech sphere back in 2015. Well, and it just all falls apart really quick. So blackpilling, doomerism, same thing, and the Israel thing. Those are just cheat codes to see if somebody's a shill. Okay, or so, listen. So, Stylish News says, I want to give you an opinion. It's great. Your country's doing great. Other countries exist too. We consider Trump a bully in Finland. Well, listen, man, or woman. I'm sorry. I don't want to assume. I mean, you're a man or woman to me. There's no other choice, but I don't want to assume that just based on your name. I'll say this. It's not our fault Finland's doing bad. Okay. I am sorry for you, but you got to get your people in arms and fix it. It's not I don't care that our actions are hurting you. And what I mean by that is we need to do what's best for us. You guys need to do what's best for you. And then we'll all get along better. But you guys have lived and I mean this for everybody overseas in Europe. You guys have lived a better life because we've been protecting you, because our tax dollars have been robbing our middle class so you guys can live better. That's not my fault. It's not my problem. And if me taking care of my country, or say in this case, Trump taking care of his country is hurting you guys, that's your problem, not mine, not ours. And so I do feel bad for you guys, but buck up and grow a pair and take back your country. Like, there's no reason Finland can't be a strong sovereign country, but your people have just, you're weak. I'm sorry, but you're weak. You've decided to step back. You've decided you want this socialist utopia where, you work 36 hours a week and have 7 weeks of vacation, and, you everything's cheaper, even though you're taxed out of your minds. Not cheaper, but housing and stuff. But I'm sorry Trump's a bully to you. He's making my country better. He's my leader. You guys get a leader that's better for you. Get a leader that's better for you, and your country will do better. It's not my problem. Trump is telling the rest of the world, I don't care. I don't care that you guys no longer getting to suck off us is your straw is over in our oil, or our, just like in, what's it called? There Will Be Blood. Not our problem. We're cutting off the straw. That's your problem. So you guys are going to suffer a little bit because you were robbing us. Okay. And that's the system you guys created. So I'm sorry you think Trump's a bully. He's my bully. You should get your own. Get your own bully instead of these wieners you have leading your country that suck. That's not my problem, man. And, it sucks for you. I feel bad. So, it's like, I feel bad for the fact that somebody like you is suffering because your country sucks, but that's not my problem. You guys have to fix your own country or leave it. That's how it works. I stayed in my country when it sucked here. And you know what I did about it? I voted for Trump. I made a show so I could help people wake up. I did stuff about it. So do something about it. There's no room for victim mentality in my life or for anybody else. But he says, we're doing better. It's not my purpose to downplay. You don't know our history. By the way, Americans have been learning here Northern military skills. That's awesome. And I'm glad there's some good stuff. Listen, I think Finland is one of the better countries in Europe. I don't hate your country. I don't at all. In fact, there's a deep desire in my heart to go to Europe for months and explore. And I love the history. I think in general, the people are great. I want, there's nothing against your country. Okay. Please don't misunderstand that. But I just don't care that people think Trump's a bully. That's what I'm trying to get at. We have to do what's best for us, and you guys should do what's best for you. And that's all I meant to say. So please don't take it the wrong way. One of the men with the $50 donation says, my wife's Finnish and she's pro-Trump, no excuses. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for one of the many for that donation. That's very, very generous of you. Very generous of you. Let's see here. Let me get into a couple other things before we go. Yeah, man, listen, I want to see Europe do great. I do. I just don't want to see them do great on our dime. I want to see Europe become Christian again. We're starting to get that back. I want to see Europe get rid of all these immigrants that are ruining a beautiful, beautiful old cultures. That's what I want to see, Let's see. Sam Damon says, until the end of World War or Cold War, NATO made some sense. For the past 30 years, Europe has been a parasite. Yeah, NATO doesn't make any sense anymore. We got to get out of it. There's just no reason for it at all. None at all. Let's see. Katie went to Finland a few years ago. What'd you think, Katie? Was it nice? I bet the people are great. A lot of people affirming. Your boy says, after telling us for 40 years socialism is better, Americans are greedy and stupid, now Europe's living in reality. Absolutely. It's true. I don't want to beat up on this guy. I think he was just trying to tell us something. I don't think he's being a jerk. He's watching this show. He says he loves the show. So let's not beat up on him. Okay, let me finish before we get over to the next thought. About to talk about the midterms updates. A lot of good stuff coming. Sam says, I love Europe and most Europeans, but the leaders, they're undermining their own people, and the people need to stop supporting socialism and embrace MAGA. I love it. MAGA, make Europe great again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do it. Katie said, loved Finland. Few asked about Trump, my thoughts. See, now the people are great, man. Yeah, I hear you, Stylish. You're completely right. It's like the people are lied to so much there. I don't know if you guys are even allowed to get on X or stuff, but people have to wake up at some point. They have to wake up at some point, and that's the only way you guys are going to win. But thank you for writing, and I'm sorry if I came across too stuff there. I just thought, I get a lot of trolls, so it's always hard to read context without a voice. But I appreciate you, and I thank you for watching, and I pray to God your country wakes up. So Jeff says, I want my future grandchildren to look at Europe and with pride of what their forefathers built, not pity. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So. All right. MFN says, never leaving USO. You can spend 10 lifetimes exploring our own. Well, there is. Yeah, I agree. But there's also a lot of stuff to see in Europe. There's just great stuff everywhere, man. I want to go all over the place. Okay. Let's get into the midterms. All right, guys. So yesterday I shared a little Spencer Pratt ad. Today I want to talk about where we're headed and how things are still looking better for Republicans in the midterms. But I also want to share the Spencer Pratt ad because it's fire. Spencer Pratt, because of this amazing ad campaign, he might actually pull off the impossible and become the mayor of LA as a common sense Republican. This could be amazing. And he's doing it by using AI and genius. But here's his latest, and I want to share it with you guys because it's fantastic. Oh, is it going to play? Okay, hold on.
Everything is awful. Everything is hell when you're part of the scene. Karen Bass is awful and burning down our streets. Dirty needles, human waste, we just Just name two awful things: a stolen car, a burned down house. You know what's awful? Everything. Mom's in shock, hit the locks, a camp of addicts down the block. Lots of tents, a very big mess. Awful scenes are not the best. Camps, traps, and crap, they're awful. Crack, smack, and shacks, they're awful. Slums, and scum, and bums, that's awful. Everything you see or smell or touch is awful. Care and biz is awful. Everything is hell when you're part of her scene. Everything is awful. And she's killing our dreams. Wait, somebody's fighting back now. Standing up and taking flack now. Spencer Pratt lost everything. Watch the flames take everything. But instead of looking down, he's exposing this whole town, calling out the corrupt machine. Somebody's gotta clean this scene. Let's go! Truth, proof, and receipts. Not awful. Fight, light, and making things right. Not awful. One man, a plan, and he won't quit. Not awful. Spencer Pratt is done with all of this. Awful. Spencer Pratt is fighting. Everything gets better when you fight for the scene. Spencer Pratt is rising. He's gonna save LA's dreams. Everything gets better when somebody stands up and refuses to quit. Spencer Pratt is fighting, and we're done with all of this shit.
How fantastic is that? I don't know if you guys saw the Lego movie, but that is just a fantastic attack of it. So this is what we need. Okay, guys, this is how you beat liberals in leftist entrenched areas. You're clever. You don't go head to head with them. You do this. And what Spencer Pratt's doing is he's showing a whole new way to campaign. It's absolutely brilliant. And he's giving us a lot of hope that LA might be the opposite of New York. New York took the communist, and we might actually get a real guy back in a real leader back in Los Angeles, which would be huge. Now, his odds are probably 20%, maybe 30%, but that's more than 5%, which is probably what he had if he hadn't been doing this. So just if you're worried about AI, well, at least AI can do this. It's a good look. But looking ahead at the other elections, the midterms in general, we're just scoring win after win, guys. And here Spanberger has now conceded defeat on the Virginia redistricting. You know, they had a snowball's chance in hell to try to overturn it, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and so they finally just given up. They're going back to the old map, so it's locked in now. We officially, not that I was worried, but we officially have Virginia's old map, which is 6-5, that even in a wave year might end up being like 7-4, but what it does, it guarantees us that we still hold at least 2 to 5 seats that we were going to automatically lose because of their redistricting. So that's huge and just a beautiful thing to see. And then, as I reported yesterday, South Carolina is showing some hope. So here is McMaster calling a special session to get around the rhino obstruction in South Carolina. So we might actually still get this seat and get Jim Clyburn out of here forever, which wonderful stuff. So McMaster's issued executive order calling the General Assembly back. So now what he's doing is what they were doing before is they were voting on whether or not to even vote on it. And the rhinos rose up and they blocked it. South Carolina is like 30% in ahead Republican. There's just no way they could ever stop or they should ever be able to stop anything that's MAGA. Okay, South Carolina is one of the reddest states. They love President Trump, but they're run by deep state rhinos who've been embedded there forever. The good news is MAGA is strong enough there where it's overcoming. They're finding ways to overcome MAGA. Now, the one seat alone isn't like supermassive for us. It does help. Every seat helps. But here's the big deal why we really, really want South Carolina to do this. Jim Clyburn is the leader of the Congressional Black Caucus on the Democratic side. He wields an inordinate amount of power for one man, especially in a minority party. He is outsized. South Carolina, because of Clyburn, kind of is the one who anoints the Democrat who is going to eventually go become the nominee. With him out of there, it completely disrupts the whole Democratic Party and their system of how they choose candidates. So he is a massive, massive win to make him go. All right. And so we really need to pray they see this through. Now, my belief is that because McMaster is doing this and they'll actually get a vote on the floor, because of that, we'll actually get this done. That makes me very, very excited. So everybody who is jumping around celebrating that South Carolina had swatted this down, it's not looking good for them. It's going to fall apart. So wonderful news there. Now, speaking of the gerrymandering, here's a little shine from JD Vance, and this is just so well done. He swats her down hard here. So watch. This is great, talking about redistricting and gerrymandering by JD Vance.
President Trump's agenda is so popular. Why do Republicans need to add additional seats to the map?
Well, first of all, Kristen, you have to ask yourself, why have Democrats gerrymandered their states aggressively over the past 10 to 20 years? If you look, for example, at the popular vote in a lot of these states, and Massachusetts, where 32% of the residents of Massachusetts voted for Republicans, 0 Republican federal representatives. So we're not trying to sort of, all we're doing, frankly, is trying to make the situation a little bit more fair on a national scale. The Democrats have gerrymandered their states really aggressively. We think there are opportunities to push back against that, and that's really all we're doing.
I want to just reiterate. And anybody who's been watching this channel knows that Vance is my number one for 2028, even though many of you are Rubio. We did a poll once on the show during one of my larger night shows that it was 50-50. Okay. Literally ended, I think Vance was 51 to 49% Rubio. It was super close. So I know my audience is split on this. I still lean Vance, and this is the reason why. He is able to, and Rubio's pretty good at this too. I just think Vance is a little better. He is so good at swatting down nonsense while also building a bridge after, while doing it in a way that's very generous to the viewer, while also making their question look absolutely stupid. But again, like his initial thing, like if Trump's so popular, why do you have to do this? And just his initial answer is so great.
Why do Republicans need to add additional seats to the map?
Well, first of all, Kristen, you have to ask yourself, why have Democrats gerrymandered their states aggressively over the past?
So why are we doing this? Well, why did Democrats do it for so long? It's just the perfect way to answer that question. So JD, just a masterstroke there. Now, this is how we win going forward. More than just the midterms, but in many ways, the people, MAGA, Republicans, they are looking for reasons to vote for the Republicans. This is one of the reasons that would gain a lot of voters. Okay. So yesterday, somebody brought up the Assimilation Act to me, and I had not been able to go over it yet. I didn't really know what it was. Now I'm seeing this, and it's incredible. So here is the Assimilation Act that has been introduced into Congress with Tuberville and Andy Ogles. This would gut the Hart-Celler Act of 1965, which has a lot to do with our current immigration problem, and then the Immigration Act of the 90s. End replacement migration, ensure American cultural cohesion. That is it right there. We can have immigration so long as they're going to assimilate. Brilliant. And this is so good. So it will end H-1B scam, ensure migrants never become public charge, make America look like America again. By public charge, it means the migrants aren't going to get welfare. FYI, net immigration immediately decreases by 85% under this bill. This is awesome stuff. National interest standard, stringent character tests, mandatory e-verify, ends chain migration, ends diversity lottery, guts birthright citizenship, way tougher asylum standards, stronger public charge rules, 10-year citizenship requirement, English and American civics, proficiency. God, we need this for our citizens too, before you can vote. Sorry, I said it. But this is wonderful. And if they can get this through, which it's going to be tough, okay? It's going to be tough because the Democrats are going to fight back. You're going to probably need 60 votes. So this is, along with the SAVE Act, something that's going to need either nuking of the filibuster or a talking filibuster, which both are unlikely to happen. But we can pressure them, and this is going to be overwhelmingly popular, just like the SAVE Act. So just like the SAVE Act, while it's a long, hard road to get something like this passed, it is possible because it's so popular. So with all this going on, the Republicans finally kind of getting it together and giving reasons for their base to get excited. The Democrats are scrambling. And Kamala Harris had this call the other day, and I want you guys to listen to this to just a reminder, not that anybody here needs it, but this is something we need to keep getting out there to remind everybody what the Democrats actually want to do, because I guarantee you this is what she says here is 70 to 80% of Americans would be against it. But listen to this.
Say, look, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it. And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around the Electoral College. We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court.
Gross.
We invite a conversation about multi-members districts. We talk about that if we win the Senate, which we should and we will, then the Senate Judiciary Committee
Not true.
should have rules that they put in place so when these people come before as nominees to the Supreme Court and lie, that they are held to account and consequence. Not just that somebody goes on cable news and says they lied, but that there are rules in place to actually penalize people for lying to a Senate Judiciary Committee. That we agree that it is right to have.
That's all code for you'll be our liberal nominee, or else we'll call you a liar and get you out of here. Okay.
Ethics rules for Supreme Court justices. And let's put those in place. Let's talk about statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Oh, that, my friends, would be one of the most horrific things to happen to our country, because that would provide, even though they're small, what they would do is they would pretty much guarantee the Democrats have a Senate edge because they'd get 4 new senators because of that. And that's why they want to push this so bad, especially like Puerto Rico. You could make a very small argument. It's like kind of there, but DC, the argument of it being a state is so insane. But that's what they want, man. This is everything she's saying here is to, once they get in, to take over and once and for all make it so Republicans can never come back.
These are the things I think that we've got to do. We've got to neutralize these red states from cheating.
Neutralize the red states. You notice the words she used? First of all, that's projection, because the red states are the ones not cheating. But the word she used, neutralize. In other words, she wants to neutralize them so they can't be useful at all. Like they can't be counted. That's what they really want to do.
Including blue states expanding their maps. And all of this, I think, is look, we got to fight fire with fire.
We got to fight fire with fire. Mama says, I just had my box wine. I had the whole box. And my God, this woman is so pathetic. But this is her current front runner again. And just look at her and listen to her. They want to run her again. And you want to understand, it's not because she is smart. it's not because she's a good candidate. It's because she is completely controlled by them, by Obama, Brennan, City of London. Like, she is completely all in. I will do whatever it takes to be leader. I don't care. I just want the power. That's all she cares about. That's why she'll get back up there. And listen, JD Vance or Rubio would wipe the floor with her. Okay. We would have to put up a awful candidate to lose to Kamala Harris, and we're not going to. But so I'm actually not worried about it, especially because the Trump administration will be overseeing the 28 election. We might have the SAVE Act in place by then. But so I'm not worried about this. But for the midterms, people even thinking about not showing up. And some people on my show watch my show and they're like, well, I'm one of those. Trump hasn't done anything for me. Okay, moron. Even if you think Trump hasn't done anything for you, which means you don't pay any attention, you have an IQ, political IQ of 20. But even if that's where you stand, this is what's coming next. This is who you'd be supporting by not showing up or voting. That's insane. And if you actually think, like Nick Fuentes says, we'll teach them a lesson and then they'll come back stronger. If you actually think you give these people back power and they'll ever give it back again, you're well, for lack of a better term, you're a moron, because it's not going to happen. And so you cannot even play that game. Here's an example of more of these people. Look at this. They went to, this is a Springsteen concert. And just listen to some of the fans when they're asked about politics.
Bruce! Bruce! Bruce Springsteen, baby.
What do you love about Bruce?
He's the boss. Hey!
Dear God, don't quit your day job.
Political opinion.
Here we go.
What do you do for a living?
Actually a musician myself.
Do you talk politics at your concerts?
No.
It's a good point.
President Trump says he has an incurable case of TDS. Does he?
The people who have TDS are the MAGA population.
What do you mean?
Oh, you know, I can't start giving you typical names.
I would say no.
So you think it's curable?
I don't think...
Donald Trump doesn't know what day it is.
Thursday night, they're no longer forgotten.
How do you feel about Donald Trump?
I have a degree in psychology, a master's in psychology, and the man has a mental problem.
What does he have?
I don't know what it is.
But I thought you had a degree.
I have a degree, but if you have a degree, oh God.
I can't wait till he's gone. My fear is it's not going to happen. He's not going to leave.
But he left the first time.
He was forced to leave. He had no choice.
So when he's done with this term, he'll be forced to leave.
I'm not sure of that. I'm nervous about it.
You'll be okay.
You say so? Can I take your money to the bank?
You sure can.
Donald Trump sucks. We're from Chicago.
Oh,
We have to save
drunk.
Chicago immediately.
How do you feel about Donald Trump's handling of the Iran war?
I don't want to go to war. I'm an aging hippie.
This is all a cover because he doesn't want to talk about the Epstein files.
He went to war to cover the Epstein files.
That has a lot to do with it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's illegal. We shouldn't be there.
So you would let Iran have a nuclear bomb?
Should we have them and they not?
I feel comfortable with that.
Anyways, these are the people, man. I don't know what to say. It's you can't take these people seriously, and whatever. At least it gives me a good laugh. These people cannot win. This is not who we can. But it makes sense, like one slur begets another. That's who votes for him. One slur votes another. But this is why we need a civics test. They didn't even know what TDS was. But in better news, here's John Solomon has something that might get us a little bit excited. He really thinks Tulsi's about to drop something and it could lead to the SAVE Act. Listen to this.
Now we have a bunch of lazy senators who want to threaten the filibuster and not get off their feet and talk and really represent the people and stand for what they believe in. And all the American people are asking John Thune to do is to restore the Senate to the way it used to work before Mitch McConnell's lazy filibuster ideas kind of came into play. And I think that the American people are going to be there. Here's what I think is going to happen, Dan. And I think you probably know some of this because you had a foresight into some of the things that the Bureau now knows that was kept from the American public. I think Donald Trump is going to change the narrative in America. I think he's going to change some senators' minds, and he's going to do it by revealing some of the things that Chris Wray and that Chris Krebs and other major officials who were in charge of the integrity of our elections and who told us it was a perfect election in 2020, he's going to start revealing some of the intelligence that was kept from the American people. And we're going to see that our foreign adversaries have monkeyed with our system more than we knew, more than those driver's licenses coming into Chicago that you helped get all of us to understand about a few months ago, about China sending fake driver's licenses to help Joe Biden in. There are going to be significant efforts by foreign powers, some friends, some enemies, that were trying to meddle in the system, and they got pretty far down that path. And I think when senators realized their state could have been targeted, when senators realized that the intention of the identities of some of their voters might have been assumed, I think there's going to be a different debate in America. And I think if the president takes the time to educate people and show them that maybe the stories we got from the last leadership weren't true, I think he's going to pick off the votes. And then the American people are going to put some pressure on John Thune, and they're going to surgically implant a stiff back, and he's going to change that filibuster for this particular thing, make it a standing filibuster, make the Democrats talk till they drop, and then we'll get a vote in the summer. But I think there's some big, significant, and very troubling revelations about the vulnerabilities of our elections that the president is about to unveil on the American public.
Oh, man. About to unveil on the American public. So Solomon's been pretty good on this stuff so far, getting ahead of like what Tulsi's about to release and all that. And so what Trump has Trump revealed before in a post that he said one way or the other we're going to get the Save America Act passed. Okay. And this tells me like maybe he's given, or somebody up there has given Solomon a little bit of insight into this, that their plan is to unleash all this information about the elections that forces their hand. And if that's true, that's something to get excited about. Now, Trump already has been starting to drop stuff, as he did on the Truth Social the other day when he released like 55 plus posts, and a lot of it was about election fraud. So he's been dropping that, but they got the classified documents. Tulsi's going through them right now. They're getting the evidence, and once they drop it, it'll be in a way that's undeniable, and that's what's going to change things in a big way. So with all that said, this is why, another good reminder why we need it done. Here's the senators of the 12 states with more registered voters than voting age citizens. Here, 12 states have more registered voters than citizens that should be able to vote. Isn't that crazy? Now, obviously, you can see a lot of blue, but look at this. The biggest rhinos, or a lot of the biggest rhinos, come from the states that also have it. We have Murkowski. I think Sullivan's all right from Alaska, but you still got Murkowski. Mitch McConnell. Rand Paul. Is it crazy Kentucky has this issue? It makes you wonder about Massie, huh? John Thune. Oh, there it is. No wonder John Thune doesn't want the SAVE Act passed. Susan Collins. Many of the biggest rhinos. Murkowski, McConnell, Rand Paul, Collins. Those are some of the biggest no votes consistently against the Trump agenda, as well as what Thune's doing with not getting the filibuster done. So we know the Democrats cheat, but here's just, I mean, it's staring you right in the face. The worst senators, the McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins have been the three worst for a long time. And then Paul, he always makes his choices at opportunities, opportune moments to do something. And then, of course, Thune, currently the leader. But these are some of the worst rhinos there are. And they all come from states where you can cheat a lot easier. Very interesting. Now, looking ahead here, this is pretty amazing. So currently the Cook Political Report has Republicans in the lead with 210 safe seats. Now, Cook leans left, so they even lean this a little bit left. Some other places have it at 213 safe seats for Republicans with 18 to 15 toss-ups, which means we only have to get less, like 40% of the toss-ups to hold the House. But let's look ahead here. Republicans' floor is 210, will be 213 after Alabama Louisiana, South Carolina draw it up. But look at 2028. We're looking at 222 could be the floor. That means, guys, that Democrats would have to knock off five safe seats in 2028 to have a chance to take back the House or to hold the House if they get in this midterms. And it gets even worse looking ahead. I actually just saw this post on while I was looking at the video earlier. But look at this one. You know, I tell you guys all the time how once we get to 2028, it's clear sailing for a long time unless we screw things up. Well, look at 2030 because of the census. Up to 2030 and 2032, we could have 235 safe GOP seats. That means the House is almost impossible to win going forward. So for everybody who's like, Trump's just a blip, this is the calm before the storm, this is God just giving us 4 more years before the Democrats take over. I've heard that nonsense so many times. And again, I'm just telling you, it just gets better and better and better the further out we go. This is their best chance to do anything, folks. We have a very, very optimistic future in this country. And as Trump just proved to us in Indiana, these seats will become more and more MAGA. The GOP, the primaries are going more MAGA every single election cycle, which means by 2028, 2030, 2032, the Senate, the Congress could be just as MAGA as the president. And then we're really going to get a lot done. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm more bullish than ever on our future. We are just at the beginning of the good times. All right, please hit that like, hit that subscribe if you don't mind. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you're enjoying this, next segment, we're getting into the Grifter Report. Fagaland. We got to call out these people. And definitely got some updates on Massie, who it just gets worse and worse for Thomas Massie heading into his primary on Tuesday. So we're going to hit that up here in a second. But first, I want to get back into the crowd here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And your guys' amazing questions and comments, as well as just give you a heads up. If you've been watching, you enjoy this, if you really love the chat, again, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, but also consider joining the membership where you'll get access to a 24/7 Discord group where we're always chatting, sharing news. It's just a great community. And on top of that, you'll get access to the members only lives, podcasts, and classes that I'll be starting again here soon. So please check it out in the Patreon link in the description below. Click that and you will get a free month, an entire month to check it out, see if you like it, and decide to stay after. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely not doing Alex Jones' voice today. He didn't come up today either, so he's it gives me a break. Let my voice heal. Yesterday really messed me up. I don't know why, but it really did. Dave Fun says, I know people have been regurgitating word for word everything media says for 10 years. Then you ask them who runs the media and they don't know. Yeah, I know. That's what we're dealing with. It's sad. It's sad. Teresa says, I look at what Donald Trump's doing for my son and my grandchildren on. The future is why I hope and pray. Sacrifice a little more and God's got me covered. Amen. Absolutely. Amen to that. Completely agree with you. Massie, what does that say? Massie been in government for decades. During most corrupt period, no problems. Trump get in, tries to improve stuff. Suddenly Massie has problems. It's so true. So absolutely true. Hannah says, unfortunately, my dad loves Bannon, and I love my dad. I can't say the same for Bannon. Yeah, well, we won't get into Bannon today. I've done, if you guys want to know the whole Bannon nonsense, I really covered it when I did a whole series of his emails in Epstein. Very concerning stuff. Very concerning. He had more emails back and forth with Epstein than even Bill Gates. So, go to my playlists on my channel and look up the Epstein files, and you'll see a bunch on Bannon. And it's not good. Not good at all. Peter says, campaign issue 26. This title, Sidney Powell proffer, Fulton County election case, video excerpt from 4 days ago. Interesting. Okay. I'll look at that if I can. But it's better if you send the link to me on X so I can actually find it pretty easy. All right. Okay. Let's get into the Grifta report. I know, so this is many people's favorite segment. So let's do it, shall we? Thomas Massie just keeps getting into it. It gets worse and worse for this man every day. And if he thinks this kind of thing's going to help him, I got some news for him. This is going to hurt him with his voters. So the New York Times has now come out in support of Thomas Massie. Quote, headline, he's one of a dying breed in Congress. Congress needs him more now than ever. My God, folks, this is like how you crush your campaign among Republicans. Just get the New York Times to celebrate you. Now, I really cannot wait till all the Massie stands kind of into my chat and light me up saying, oh, you're Israel. How's your $7,000? You enjoying that? Dude, if you guys can support the New York Times embracing your boy, well, then you got bigger problems. Just how insane do you have to be to think the New York Times is actually on the side of good? This tells you more than anything else who's actually behind Thomas Massie and who actually cares if he's there. Ro Khanna, who is one of the most progressive leftists in the entire Senate, hardcore, just tried to pass a wealth tax in California, and as a result of his doing, $2 trillion worth of billionaires has now left California, and which is only going to hurt their budget more. Yeah, that guy, one of the greatest frauds in Congress, is endorsing him as well now. Thomas Massie is a man of character. He's a type of congressman our founders envisioned. I hope his constituents will see the courage, independence, sincere love of country he brings to the job. Are they trying to tank him? That's the question now, because I'm sure that ruby red Kentuckians who are super MAGA, even Massie came out and said 80 to 90% of his constituents are MAGA. Even them, I don't think they're loving seeing who's endorsing him right now. This is so bad. And the only thing I can think of is that maybe it's so bad for him right now. It's falling apart so quickly that they're actually going to try to get some Democrats to go vote in the primaries. Now, I don't know if in Kentucky, if you can vote across parties or if you have to register, but we might actually see an attempt to do that where they change their registration on the day of or some. I don't know if Kentucky allows that. Some states do, but we'll see, because this is like all out craziness. We have Anna Kasparian, who is hardcore leftist from the Young Turks. She's coming out and defending Thomas Massie now. Let's listen to Anna.
Most of his money.
Oh, by the way, on the Megyn Kelly show. It just gets better.
Money is from out of state, and it's from people who prioritize Israel over the American people.
Hold on a second. We've already proven that like somewhere between 80 and 90% of the money Massie's raised is from out of state as well. We've proven that. I've showed you guys the receipts. But regardless, they're going to spew their talking points.
I'm kind of shocked to see that his challenger is rising in the polls. In fact, yesterday, for the first time, there was one poll that showed that he not only closed Massie's lead, but he has now, passed Massie in the polling. And so what this communicates to us is that our elections and our so-called democracy isn't real. right? That moneyed interests are the ones who control everything. They get to decide who they elect. And a lobby that is far more concerned with a foreign country has more power than ordinary Americans who live and care about this country.
It's the Jews. It's the Jews. Now, I expect this from Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks, but these are the people defending Thomas Massie is so funny to me.
Live in and care about this country. So we really, I am terrified that he's going to beat Massie in the primary.
Why? Why? Now, this is what drives me insane. So if you're a libertarian, okay, and you are, or even like the Groyper types who love Massie, the America First types, this is one of the craziest things to me is if that's who you are, and if you're principled, and if you really truly believe in a smaller government, and if you really truly believe we shouldn't do any foreign aid or be involved overseas at all, but you have a choice to make between the Democrats who would just give all our money away to other people that haven't earned it and would expand the government to sight unseen. If you're America First, and those are two of your guiding principles, the fact that the side that wants that, okay, is terrified that Thomas Massie could lose, even though Thomas Massie's supposed to be this principled America First libertarian. What does that say about you? What does that say that the hardcore progressive lefties are scared Thomas Massie could lose? And you're telling me that I'm an Israel stan because I want Thomas Massie to lose? No, I want Thomas Massie. I don't care about Israel, by the way. It's not even an issue to me on my, it's like 75th on the issues I care about. Israel is so far down the list, it doesn't even matter to me. What I care about is all these other things, and Thomas Massie is terrible on them. He's hurting the MAGA movement. He's hurting President Trump's agenda. He's awful for us, but he is loved by them. And guess what? They're all on the same side. How is all of a sudden Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur and Ro Khanna and the New York Times on the same side as people who are supposed to be on the right, like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly? That's interesting. Dave Smith. Or maybe you're just all total frauds. And maybe Thomas Massie is just a total fraud. I'm sorry, but show me who you are by who you hang out with. Bingo. Let's let it finish.
Not only because I think it's unfair to Massie, who's a principled politician, a unicorn, really, when you think about it. I'm worried that this is going to disenfranchise voters to a point where they're just not going to participate in any election. And then what? And then what happens, right? So I just don't know how to solve this other than calling for a constitutional amendment that takes money out of politics. Most of his...
It's so stupid. Takes money out of politics. No, they just want the government to control the money in politics. So everybody's on a level basis, which means that somebody completely unpopular could get the same amount of money as somebody who is popular. That is such a stupid system. These people are the worst losers. Now, we actually have Loan Boebert coming out for Thomas Massie now. And in fact, she just posted on this. So let me share this with you guys. But this makes me sad. Boebert in general has been pretty good for MAGA. But this is just all you need to know. I mean, if you can't make a stand on this right here, you have serious issues and you just can't be trusted. But she has come out. Below is my friend Thomas Massie. Loves America, is fine to save it. Below is also my friend Donald Trump. I support both of these men. It doesn't make me angry, Lauren. It just tells me you're a terrible judge of character. So Lauren is just willing to go wherever the wind blows, I guess. She's trying to play both sides, which is sad to me. Hopefully, my hope is that, because she's probably going to stay in here, is that my hope is that once once Massie's gone, which he should be gone after next Tuesday, he'll still be in Congress till next January. But once he's officially gone, that she'll just fall in line again. That's my hope, because she still gets voted in from Colorado. We need somebody like her there. But this is just pathetic. This makes me very sad. All right, now here's interesting. Now, everybody's like, Thomas Massie's so principled and keeps going. Well, I didn't know this, but somebody just exposed this, which is great. It says, I think Massie started out in public service for the right reasons, doing the right things. In March of 2012, he signed an oath to support term limits, but he violated that oath immediately. He was going to make it law. He said only 3 terms for House members. Here it is, his signature. 3 terms for House terms and 2 for Senate. But Massie is now on his 6th term and running for a 7th. I thought this man was principled. I'm just saying, like, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy, you know? Or the fact that I've brought up many times, Massie only posted about Epstein 3 times before 2026, once in 2022 and twice in 24, which, by the way, both those times in 24 were after Trump was already clearly leading the primaries. So the only other one was this, and it was in a reply, wasn't the actual message. So for Massie, who cares so much about the exposure of Epstein and the truth of Epstein, why did it take him so long to actually bring it up when it's been clearly a big deal since 2019? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, just like Tucker. Here, Han Shawnedy has compiled an extensive list of Thomas Massie's accomplishments. There it is, guys, just so you know. He's a great guy. Hate to lose him. We don't want to lose what he keeps doing here for all of us, for all of America. So Massie, it's not looking good for him. He's down in the polls. The panic is all over the place. I mean, when the New York Times is joining in, it's panic time. Anna Kasparian is terrified he's going to lose, far lefty. So I'm just saying, again, watch party next Tuesday night. We're going to watch the primary, and hopefully we're all going to be celebrating that Massie not only loses, but gets absolutely destroyed. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, he's not alone. And one of his absolute big buddies, Candace Owens, who we showed her endorsement of him yesterday, she's having a bad day, as the White House military office just came out and said, we actually have no record of communications with you. So Candace had come out with communications from the White House way back in November, and saying they were going to look into things about Charlie and her show. And now they've officially gone on record saying, yeah, we don't know anything about this. We didn't authorize, draft, or publish content in question. Any attribution is false. So Candace caught in a big old lie again, which shouldn't surprise you. And so somebody who is on my side of things with Candace put this together so we could all laugh about. But here's Candace Owens. And the genius Candace Owens, and all of the times she's mispronounced words. So I thought I'd share this so we could all have a good laugh.
Their new push is just that I'm stupid. It is a biennial joint military operation. Sex slave was hired by music mogul. Candace is dumb. She's really stupid. I am so very disappointed in Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi, who all made these grandiose promises. I am saying this in its true denotative meaning. She mispronounced a word. There has been so much toxicity given all the toxicity there, discussing their toxicity. We're going to scroll through 300 episodes and look, and a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. If you can't compartmentalize, we knew a kerfluffle happened as this dress kerfluffle causes this whole race kerfluffle. A serious kerfluffle. She's ignorant. So it was a philosophy class called Senior Sem, and he used to come in every day with a debacle. He hadn't yet committed the crime that creates that whole debacle. Taylor Swift was somehow involved in this entire debacle. The Kanye West debacle, Christ is King debacle, the Christ is King non-debacle, Jeffrey Epstein, this whole debacle, Epstein debacle, and him wanting to move on from the Epstein debacle, the FISA debacle. Are you guys following this debacle with her earrings? The Hamptons debacle came up. Okay, remember that whole debacle? Sort of a debacle. When that whole debacle
loves that word, man.
Entire debacle, calling out Candace Owens and waiting for her to make a mistake so they can try to delegitimize every effort that she is making to get to the bottom of this thing. That was meant to legitimatize her. It wasn't because people were just trying to delegitimize him. This caricature of Candace Owens, I did not grow up in a Prince household beyond a couple of his major hits, namely Raspberry Beret. Retired Green Beret, to do it again posthumously, will be posthumously honored, a posthumous award. They've decided posthumously,
That was not too bad, but-
posthumously. And so I'll give you an analogy, or actually an anecdote, not even an anecdote, an anecdote. I'm sorry, I don't speak German. Everybody uses the terminology blitz, blitzkrieg. You can't even say blitz means lightning, Krieg means war, and the NFL football team say blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg! Like, Catholic, no, he just liked the architecture. He loved the architecture. It was about the architecture. Like, yeah, no, like he loved the architecture. I think this may have been about more than the architecture. In ways that you can honor Charlie. Stop telling us that it has to always be Miss Macabre, like, obligatory. Does the obligatory thing, doing the obligatory. We're obligatory. Obligatory. Tyler Boyer then jumped into the foray, and Alex Jones jumped into the foray. There is a borough that has been corrupt. The borough of alcohol and tobacco, Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI Borough of Prisons Chief. What is the borough doing? All of these bureaucrats, among bureaucrats, into the bureaucrats, the Federal Borough, State Borough, Utah Borough, rebuilding this borough. Look at the boroughs, is the boroughs borough. Were you brought into an FBI borough? Borough. The IDF even dropped napalm. And because these chips are made with real food, they are more satiating. Beef tallow makes the chips much more satiating. They are more satiating. Towards the end of Obama, we started hearing all of this rhetoric. People are getting tired of this rhetoric. They're tired of rhetoric. And my rhetoric, and they didn't like that rhetoric, this rhetoric. The wisdom of Solomon, it came to be seen as an amulet or a talisman. Jews and that like medieval jewelry, like everything that we're learning about medieval jewelry is a lie. And there have been so many concerted attacks. Definitely am seeing a concerted attack. A concerted effort makes a concerted effort in these concerted efforts. There was a concerted effort. A concerted effort. Obviously, that's pretty reminiscent. That's eerily reminiscent. Is reminiscent. Sweeping powers, reminiscent. Sweeping powers, reminiscent. It is reminiscent. It's sounding a bit reminiscent. Very reminiscent. So reminiscent. It's becoming very much reminiscent. See them wield a cutlass, the machete, with such flourish and finesse. We all have the same memory of something, but they're telling us it wasn't a thing, like Fruit of the Loom. Apparently there was no cornucopia. Michael McCoy says to his dad, Charlie's been shot, pray for him. He says the minutes, maybe he's being a little hyperbolic, being facetious a little bit, hyperbolic. I'm being hyperbolic here, and I'm not saying that in a hyperbolic way. You're going to be hyperbolic and hyperbolic language, but rather hyperbolic. You were just being hyperbolic, or extremely hyperbolic, this hyperbolic. Okay, I'm probably being a little hyperbolic.
How are you going to like know where he goes and shit, though?
I'm being hyperbolic. Stop having people scroll through every second of my show trying to find me mispronouncing words. It's such a ridiculous way to try to delegitimize the research.
Don't delegitimize her, guys. Oh, man. Oh, okay. I hope you enjoyed that. That was, makes me, oh, man. At this point, Candace, you get everything that's coming to you. I'm sorry. She just does. This, I don't feel bad. We gotta laugh at this stuff, right? We gotta laugh at this stuff because it's so it just exposes who she is and why she so easily just goes down all these crazy rabbit trails. You just can't trust somebody like this. It's one thing to have like a couple mispronunciations and a lisp, or, a couple of those I thought were a little too hard on her, but some of them are so insane. And the way she just doubles down, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, she's always making me laugh. And then, here, this is why we laugh at her. Okay. Because then there's stuff like this that comes out that her followers actually take seriously, including her dream of Charlie. And now, the dreams of Charlie are just being doubled down on.
And he comes to me, and I don't know, you tell me if that's like Charlie.
Charlie's now coming to Candace Owens' friends in dreams too, guys. It's a spreading. It's a virus.
Hugs me for some reason, smiles, and he's like, "You're doing just fine." I never knew him personally, but he was smiling and he hugged me and he's like, "You're doing just fine." So I remember just asking like, "Who killed you?" So I did. I was like, who killed you? Like, that would be easier to tell me, like, who killed you? And you know what he said? He said the same people that killed JFK.
Oh.
Wow, you had this in your dream.
In a dream.
Wow.
I woke up at 4.
Thanks, Candace. Thanks for making us all legitimate. This is and I still get people who are like defending Candace Owens to me every time I go after her. Well, she's the only one questioning it. If it wasn't for her, they'd be looking into it. Stop being hard on Candace. You haven't done your research. Okay. That's all I gotta say to you guys. Okay. Because this is her research. This is her research. Charlie came to me in a dream, told me who killed him. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. All right. Well, then we got Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just remembering back when she told everybody she was going to name the names on the list just a few weeks before she quit. Here's, I love that this stuff keeps coming up, okay? And the reason I play it for you guys is because sometimes we forget. All right, we can forget, and I get new viewers who may not understand why I'm so hard on some of these people. But we're at the point now where, like, there are a group of people with enough influence and they've been connected to the movement enough where we have to completely distance ourselves from them, and we have to show why they're absolute frauds. Okay, so it's always backing myself up. And this clip of Marjorie just came out, and it's taken from back a while ago, but I had forgotten about this, and so I wanted to share it because it just, knowing what we know now, it's just even more damning. And so anybody who's been taking Marjorie still seriously and really believes that President Trump said to that her son being threatened was her fault, and if it happens, anybody who believes any word a woman says, well, let's see what she said just a few weeks before she quit.
I'm not afraid to name names, and so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor, and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. Okay,
so they did give you a list, and it's not the list we all saw. It's a list that's open and anybody could read. And yes, that list came out after she left, but I'm sorry, most of that information had already been passed around. They knew this stuff. And that information, Massie had gotten a lot of it, the DOJ that had many meetings with them. Why did you quit before you would have had a chance at this? And why have Massie, Ro Khanna, all these other people who came behind you, Nancy Mace, who said that we're just like you. We're going to name names. We're going to get it all out there. I mean, she's standing. This is an event where Thomas Massie was. She's there with Massie and Ro Khanna. And yet nobody's come to the center and named names because they have the list. They have everything. They can go look at it anytime they want, unredacted. That's just a stone cold fact that not one congressman has come out and said otherwise. In fact, the only complaint they had is we only get 2 hours at a time to read it. Only 2 hours at a time. Well, if you did that was 2 months ago. So if you went 2 days a week for 2 hours, that's 4 hours a day to go look at all the unredacted names, you would have a whole lot of evidence, wouldn't you? You would have everything, and you could go release it, but you didn't, did you? So this is just another reminder of what an absolute fraud this woman is. And Benny Johnson, to his credit, I gave him lots of credit yesterday. Well, when he called her out, Marjorie responded to him, calling him a lying scumbag and he's spreading lies. And Benny, who, I haven't been a big fan of Benny, but now he's winning me over because of stuff like this. He's one of the few influencers willing to go out and actually call these people out. And Benny, for that, you get props. Says more drama and crash outs. Got it. But thanks for proving my point. Repeat the lies about me, which I've denied over and over again. You're trying to destroy MAGA. You're working for the left. Do you think Trump's a Russian asset? Here's the difference. What you said about me is evidence-free slander. What I said about you is true. Had you on my show a dozen times where you claimed to be fighting for mass deportations, secure borders, secure elections, and fighting against the forces to destroy our country. These turned out to be lies to my audience, since you now choose to dunk on the president to get booked on The View and legacy media networks. Well done, Benny Johnson. You're sympathizing with Democrats who've been facilitating an invasion of our country and want us all dead. I cover the news. I covered what's been alleged about Massie. I covered the news about you. You both were supposed to represent your voters who also elected Trump. You turned on them, and that is true. Boom, shakalaka. I am so happy for this. Again, Benny's still not my favorite. I've had my questions about him. I definitely, his style rubs me a little raw. He's a little too, I've had 75 shots of espresso today. Just not my style. Not what I like to listen to. Don't always feel he adds too much to the energy, the conversation. But man, props where props are due. He just flat out destroyed Marjorie Taylor Greene. So this is great, and I'm going to give him props for it, because you know who's not doing this? Alex Jones isn't doing this. He's become one of them. It's basically guys like Benny Johnson and Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, who've actually stepped up and been calling these people out. And so good on them. I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan either, but props where props are due. And, I'm not a big, Glenn Beck fan, but props where props are due. These guys who are, especially Shapiro, you could argue Beck, they're old school conservative neocon types. Not the biggest fans of them, but hey, in this fight, they're more on our side than MTG is, or Tucker, or Massie. And so for now, we'll keep our alliance with them. But yeah, so well done, Benny. Well done. And the last thing today, Peter Schiff. This one's going to hurt some of you guys, especially some of you gold bugs and libertarian leaners. Peter Schiff has just become worse and worse over the years. And I feel like at this point, we can lump him in with the grifter class. But he's coming out and just saying the most nonsensical stuff now. Absent a U.S. boots on the ground invasion occupation, it's clear Iran will win this war. It will emerge with more influence in the Gulf than it had before, and control over the Strait of Hormuz will give it an economic advantage it never enjoyed in the past. I'm sorry, Peter. You're wrong on all counts. Peter Schiff has been nonstop critical. He's gone far into that libertarian wing of things with the Dave Smiths of the world, Clint Russells of the world. And it's just sad. I used to respect Peter Schiff. I held on as long as I could, but he's gotten worse and worse and worse. And I feel like at this point, there's no coming back for him. So, we got to call them out where they're at. Tom Luongo used to be friends with Schiff, says literally the exact opposite outcomes being negotiated by Trump and Xi, and all the lolbertardians are simping for Iran. It's hilarious. Have they been a psyop the entire time? And at this point, I would argue absolutely yes. Libertarians, not the guy next door, but the libertarians who run the Libertarian Party and are prominent libertarians, I would say at this point, nearly all, if not all of them, are absolute frauds and are just existing to try and beat back any bit of progress we can have. And that's just something that I can't unsee anymore. And so that's how I see it. But it's a good thing they're showing who they are. Trump has forced them all to show their true colors, and we're going to be a lot better for it going forward. All right. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Again, thank you guys for watching. Please consider joining the membership by going into the description, clicking the Patreon link, and joining for free. You get a free month. You can try out the Discord, see if you like the community, which is awesome, by the way. If you think the chat's cool, it's way better in the community on Discord. And on top of that, it goes 24/7. Plus, you get access to members-only content, which is only going to be growing starting next week. So please think about trying that out. And if you like it, you can support the channel for just a few bucks a month. And obviously, a lot of work goes into this, so every little bit is appreciated. All right, I got a couple small things I want to talk about here in a minute. But first, as always, I want to take the time to get back into the chat. I had a couple super chats. Doc No 27 with the $2 super chat says government forms and comms should be English only. Well, yeah, I don't even think that's a debate, but thank you for the super chat. And Job for 9 with $5 super chat says get rid of her too, referring to Lauren Boebert. And you know what? If another Republican can win that seat in Colorado, I completely agree with you. Sebastian says the Libertarians are a party so serious their candidates are Gary Johnson, Spike Cohen, and Joe Jorgensen. Don't forget the one that just ran this year, which I don't even remember his name. He was so pathetic, but he was awful. And it's just it's terrible. Let's see, who's Goldie? I don't know who Goldie is, Joss Brewer. I don't know. So how does one define the war and the winning? Sorry, what do you mean by that, Ihana? His first sentence, make it clear where his head is. Yeah, absolutely. Joss says, I unsubscribed to Benny, but I'm glad him and MTG are fighting. Yes, I completely agree with you on there. All righty, what else is going on here? Didn't she get a bunch of money buying stock in Big Pharma before the pandemic? Are you talking about MTG or Boebert? Because I'm not sure which one. I know that MTG was accused of some insider trading. So Tesla says lots of young, beautiful Costa Rican women in Costa Rica. I don't think MTG is going to be as happy there as she does. Well, she ran off with her White House boyfriend, the guy who was covering the White House reporter. So, okay, I got a couple last things I want to get to before I leave. So if you guys don't mind hitting the like and subscribe before we do this last stuff here. Goldie Gamar, born in Iran, grew up in Canada. Okay. I'll look for him when I got time. Lone Borbert sure does her intelligence with that raunchy date episode. Yeah. You know, if you're a congresswoman, you probably shouldn't be getting a little peckish in public, right? It's not a good idea. Okay. Guys, civil war keeps coming up as a major talking point because we've been so polarized. I personally haven't been worried about it, but I do want to address it because I saw this wonderful article on this today. And in this wonderful article, I just want to break down where I think this guy's exactly where I'm at. And because this is kind of an important topic, because there is a lot of fear, I deal with fear all the time. And this is one of the main issues doing a channel like mine, where I'm actually very optimistic. Being extremely optimistic, I get a lot of the doomers coming back to me. And being somebody who's a Christian raised in the American church, there's a lot of people who are always, even though they're Christian, they're very optimistic personally most of the time. When it comes to world events, they are constantly looking for the next terrible thing as a sign Jesus is coming back, which is just not healthy. Okay, but so to speak to all that, many people right now think that Trump has created for us just a blip and like a 4-year break. And after Trump's gone, there's either going to be civil war or there's going to be the Democrats take back over and we become a communist nation and all this terrible stuff's going to happen. I completely disagree that any of that's on the radar. But, I mean, could it be in some crazy hypothetical that's trending differently? Yes, obviously anything is possible. But that's not where we're headed by any metric right now. And this guy, Cynical Publius, who's a great follow on X, I highly recommend it, did this article today. And I just want to go through it. I want to give it some time of day because I think it's important to put out there somebody who's actually really thought this out. So he writes, if you're an American who's even slightly politically aware, you likely feel American politics have never been more polarized. It all seems so surreal. Assassination attempts, resistance from government employees, beatification of criminals like George Floyd, coup attempts like the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, summer riots where our cities burn, no one's held accountable, support for rapists, gang members, murderers, so long as they're illegal. List of things that once seemed impossible goes on and on. They all point to violence. Heck, in a recent poll, 25% of very liberal Americans said violence is okay to achieve political goals. So are we on a path to a second civil war? So he researched common themes in several prominent civil wars across history, and his conclusion is that we're not there. His research suggests there's two broad categories, which he'll call hate and political civil war. Hate civil war is the one most people think of. Civil war fought between groups based on largely immutable characteristics like race, ethnicity, religion, tribe, or region. Rwandan civil war, wars in the Balkans, and then there's the political one. Civil war were otherwise generally homogenous, ethical, racial, religious population engagement based on political beliefs. Many of what we call revolutions were actually political civil wars, like the Bolsheviks in Russia revolution. It was actually a civil war. Post-World War II Chinese, when the Communist Party came in. And proxy civil war in Greece between communists sponsored by Soviet Union and the royalists by the USA and UK. So if USA goes down a civil war, which kind will it be? He said, as I started this, I assumed it would fit into the hate one. However, I don't think this is the case. While the climate feels full of hate, hatred's not strictly along racial, ethnic, religious boundaries. Even in regional disagreements, there's no clear borders. So unlike the first American Civil War, which is an odd duck in that it had elements of both hate and political, there's no stark physical borders, which leaves the other choice a political one. So, and here's the four ways it happens, the four factors. Now, I just think this is so smart. And I'm going to go through these four real quick, and then I'm just going to share my thoughts on it and where we're at, because it just is important. This is the kind of thing that a lot of people, especially you guys, if you have political conversations with friends, family, this kind of thing is going to come up. And Tim Pool, who is somebody I generally enjoy their show, he does Black Pill a little too much, but in general, I think he covers most things pretty fairly. But one thing I can't stand he does is he keeps saying there's going to be a civil war. And I've heard this from other people, and I just don't see it happening. And so this is why I'm sharing this, because it is being promoted by several prominent people right now. He says, one way it happens is sharp ideological polarization. Not sure I need to elaborate too much here. Examples like Russian Civil War were the results of extreme political polarization upon defined ideological lines, like communism versus capitalism. In 2026, we have a very similar divide. Rabid street demonstrations, lawfare assassination attempts, even routine dialogues break out along sharp and distinct lines. We no longer a country agrees on goals and differs on how to achieve those goals. No, in 26, political divide shows extreme polarization of goals. One wants a limited government, leaves citizens alone. The other wants a nanny state, removes all risk from life at the expense of freedom. USA Today is politically polarized in any of the political civil wars. And this is a primary reason why so many Americans fear it could happen. And I completely agree with him there. Next is power vacuums or collapse of central state. Political civil wars have historically broken out when status quo fails, whether economically, politically, or both. Like Russia in 1917, World War I devastated population physically and economically, caused a failure of Tsarist regime. Chinese Civil War and Greek Civil War similarly resulted from pain and power vacuums created by World War II on top of global economic depression. USA of 2026 has no such power vacuum yet. I will say that there are several people I know and trust that do believe that the City of London globalist types are actually trying to crash our economy to create this. They haven't been able to yet, and I don't think they're going to be able to. Even if they do crash the markets, I believe Trump is making the middle class, the Main Street economy so strong that they won't be able to kill the they won't be able to crush the overall economy, even if they do crash the markets. So just to say that that's where I'm at and where I see possible for this one. Significant external intervention or ideological proxy support. Political civil wars I cite an element of outside intervention from global powers attempting to fix the outcome of the war. Cold War's most prominent example is USA and USSR routinely battled through proxies engaged in third-party civil wars. This is not new. Consider political war in Corcyria in 427 BC during Peloponnesian, blah, 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 Athens and Sparta, and this seems unlikely in the USA. While countries like China, Russia, Iran, and others are clearly waging information warfare inside the U.S., we still stand as preeminent power on the globe. Proxy civil wars historically happen when great powers intervene in the affair of lessers, so we don't have to worry about that because we're the great power. Then finally, class-based socioeconomic grievances and mobilization. Nowhere was this more evident than political civil wars of the 20th century, where Marxists pushed a conflict between oppressed, impoverished proletariat, wealthy ruling classes. Russia in 1917 was so ripe for civil war because peasantry truly was oppressed, and the ruling class truly was enjoying a lifestyle Marie Antoinette would instantly recognize. While the USA of 26 is full of neo-Marxists attempting to foment divide, fact is today, even the poorest residents of our country enjoy a standard of living that would be the envy of most other eras of human history. Absolutely true. The poorest people in America, still most of them live above most standards, even in most other countries right now. In fact, recently it came out that the United Kingdom's economy and standard of living would be 51st of 50 states in in America. So they came in behind Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, and just all the states you'd think were to be the poorest. UK came in way behind them and standard of living. So in Canada, as far as income, same thing. They would be the 51st state. So again, we live very well here in America, even amidst our problems. In a nation where obesity is the greatest health problem, even the poorest among us enjoy internet, cell phones, automobiles, air conditioning. It's much harder to foment revolt when peasants are actually starving. Class-based grievances are not substantial enough to create civil war. Again, I completely agree, even though we have people like AOC out there trying to make it happen. He says, so there it is, type of civil war we might possibly see in the U.S. and the 4 factors that lead to them. Of those 4 factors, only one seems to exist in the U.S. in 2026. However, note the title where it says for now, and he says yet. So could it happen? All the factors could be present, but are we there? No. And listen, I completely agree with this. And this is why I constantly say, as somebody who's studied history, politics, religion, theology for 25 plus years, at 42 years old, I really started on this journey when I was 17. I got to tell you guys that I completely agree with this same estimate. We are not headed towards a worse time. Things are not nearly as bad as the media would have you think. Anybody who thinks we're living in the worst time of history has no idea what they're talking about. They just don't understand. They have no actual idea of how good we actually live right now. We've been more polarized than we are right now in history. The 60s were similar. Obviously, the Civil War times, even the American Revolution was more polarized, where only about 30% of Americans supported us fighting against the British. So we've had this throughout our history, and we've come out of it better for it each and every time. This is just another shift, guys. It's another geopolitical shift. It's another American shift of timing where we have come to a point where we have to move forward in one way or the other, and we're having the great debate over that. It's always tumultuous. It's always difficult. It's always a little extreme, but that's where we're at. And the thing is that this time, because of technology and where things are on the global stage, it feels bigger. It feels bigger and it looks bigger. And in some ways it will be, because it's going to impact the globe more than just us here at home. But I got to tell you that the trend is all in the right direction. We're not but the scary part is, and where people get caught up on, is that they look at the other side and what they want to do. And they look at how hard things have been to make change. And they think to themselves, it's impossible. That's where the true people who actually are blackpilling, not as a psyop, that's where they actually get there, because they just look ahead and they're like, my God, I don't see. But again, it's because of a very poor understanding of history. And I say that to everybody looking ahead and saying that either America's going to fall, we're going to become communist. This is things are only going to get worse. I say that to my Christian friends who are like, this is the end times. It's honestly a ridiculous statement to say those kind of things. It's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't even line up. Even if you believe in an end time scenario that I don't agree with, where things have to get much worse for Jesus to show up. Even if you believe that, if you go by that standard, which I know that standard very well, I believed it most of my life, it doesn't even line up in that direction. You're taking things and just exaggerating them to doom. And I know that because the same thing happened in 2020 or 2006 when Israel went to war. Same thing happened in the 90s. It just happens over and over again. We're just in a cycle of this dooming. It's just not coming, guys. And could it happen? Of course, anybody can play that game, but the percentage and the trajectory does not show that. So again, I just wanted to share this as an optimistic outlook to give you guys hope and just really paint the picture of where we actually are at compared to what a lot of people are saying. So I hope that was informative for you all. I hope you all learned something and feel a little bit better, because the truth is, guys, we are winning in so many ways. And what we're much more likely to see is what I shared much earlier about this upcoming economic outlook from what Trump's doing, which is going to be very bullish for our economy, for our sovereignty, and for our culture as time progresses and the Trump stuff comes into play. So I, for one, am very, very optimistic and bullish and excited for where we're headed. All right. That's the last segment for today's show, guys. I hope you like and subscribe. I'm going to answer a couple things here in the chat before we call it a day. And obviously we'll pray as always at the end, but I hope you're doing well. Let's see. Violence of Poetry says, I'm going to slightly disagree with you, and I don't see it as blackpilling to say we're in the end times. We've read the end of the book. It ends very well for us. Well, yes, and I agree with that part of it. But the blackpilling comes from the belief that things have to get worse for Jesus to come back. And I don't believe the Bible says that. Not the way I understand the Bible. And you'd have to go through my reading, my teaching to understand why I think that's a very poor theological understanding of the Bible. But that's where the blackpilling comes from. The idea that things are going to get so much harder and it's going to be so oppressive and awful and yes, in each scenario, whether you believe in my end times theology, how I read the Bible, or you believe in the more traditional Western one for the last 150 years, that's very scary and dooming until Jesus comes back. Yes, both of them end the same way. The difference is how we get there and what we have to go through to get there. And I'm sorry, but it just is blackpilling, because people want the world. People who believe in that actually, and I know this from growing up in the evangelical church in America, guys, they look at the bad stuff as exciting because it means Jesus is closer. And I think that's been horrible for not only Christianity, but for our nation, as it's taken a lot of Christians to stop building for the future and instead just wait for things to get worse. So anyways, that's what I mean by that. When I said that was doing. So you have to blackpill to get Jesus back if you believe that the end times theology that I don't agree with. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, don't be fearful. That's right. For real, how's that hole in the ozone doing? Not very good. I love it. Let's see. Yeah, Peter Schiff's been against Bitcoin. He's against anything that's not gold. It's like for every good point he has 10 bad ones. That's how he's been for a long time. Joss says AOC is bad for Democrats in the midterms. Independents are turned off by her. I mean, I agree with that. I think AOC is bad for the Democrats on a national level, but she's very good for them on like a primary base level. And I think that's how she's been for a long time, because she raises a lot of support. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? I think I saw a super chat come in. Oh, I did. Okay. Katie Cat with the $2 donation says, Joe was your husband's aunt. Joe Jorgensen? That's crazy. Wow. Small world, right? You never know. You never know who's connected. I Love Music says Tim Pool sucks. You're wrong about him. Whatever. I don't care. I've been listening to him for a long time. I don't listen to every one of his shows. I think he does a really good job at covering a lot of the news. So, okay. He's definitely not grifting for the other side, I'll tell you that. So, let's Let's see. Romdog says, thanks for being honest and straightforward on your reporting. Too many shows just want the clicks. You know, I'll always be honest, whether it hurts me or not. There's a lot of people who say, don't do what I do in some things. Like one thing I do is like clean up the chat with the moderating, and that is bad for the algorithm. I'm like, you know what? But it's better for the people. It's better for the people, and that's what I care about. It's a better show. So I'll grow slow if that's what it means. If doing it the right way means growing slower, I'll grow slow. So thank you for that. Prayer Day at National Mall. What are my thoughts? I think it's wonderful. I'm so excited. Sunday is the National Day of Prayer at the National Mall. We're rededicating our nation back to Jesus. I'm sorry, but if that doesn't white pill you, I don't know what does. That's going to be huge. It's a huge spiritual win for us, and spiritual wins matter. Spiritual wins matter. So I'm very excited about that. Let's see here. Watch on. Yeah, so again, tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing with Rich Does Politics. It's not a live show, so I don't know when he's going to post it, but I'm supposed to be meeting with him tomorrow online, and I'm very, very excited for the opportunity. I feel so honored that he's asked me to go on there, and we'll just see where it goes. We'll see where it goes, and then you guys can watch me on there. That's Rich Does Politics, and yeah, look forward to seeing what that does. He's just a great guy and has a great channel. So, all right, guys. Well, let's pray, and we're gonna call it a day for now. I will be off for the weekend unless some major news comes out and I do an emergency live. But other than that, guys, I'm gonna take it off. Members, you guys stay on alert because I might be doing a member live really soon. I am not covering the Tommy Robinson rally. I'm sorry, but yeah, I spend a lot of energy doing this show. And I'm not going to have the time to do stuff for other countries, unfortunately. I mean, I might cover, if there's big news that comes out of it, I might cover it on Monday. But yeah, I'm not going to cover it live. So only American news here that I go live for, unless it's something that greatly affects us. All right. But okay, let's pray and call it a day for the weekend. Unless you guys catch my clips, or unless Rich posts my video this weekend, which would be awesome. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless everybody watching. I just pray a blessing over them, Lord, and thank you for their support, even in watching this, even in their likes and subscribes, whatever it is, God, every little bit of support for this channel I'm grateful for, and I just bless them, God, that they would get something out of it, not just watching this, but just from you as well, Lord. And so I thank you for that. I bless them. I bless President Trump. I pray protection over him, and I ask for wisdom, discernment, and boldness in every decision he has to make. And I pray that, God, you're with him as he makes those decisions, along with his entire team. Pray that you continue to expose the corrupt and bring justice, Lord, to them and to our land. Bring prosperity to our land as well, Lord, and just new beginnings. We thank you for saving our country. We thank you for giving us a second chance. And pray, God, that you stir us all to do what we need to do to not waste it and to see it through to the end so that you, God, can see finished what you've started for us, the miracle you gave us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Love you guys. God bless you. Have a blessed night, or blessed day, and I'll see you all Monday. Take care.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night.